What's the name of that one? Hello everyone and welcome to the Lightbringers Podcast episode 38. I hope you're all well and you're having a fantastic week thus far. It is thus far. 2023, if you haven't heard us this year, welcome and happy new year as well. Yes, it's another week and it is difficult to come up with ideas of what to have in the podcast sometimes when we don't have much going on. But also that could be a sign of perhaps there's a lull. Perhaps you're not playing as many games in the new year. Perhaps you're not playing as much Guild Wars 2 as you may want to or able to, or there's just not something maybe which is attracting you to the game at the moment. Or maybe you're more involved than you have been ever in the game. But that's something we're going to talk about. And it's going to be talking about a title which I forgot the name of, and I'm going to look it up again. What drives you to keep playing Guild Wars 2? And we have some wonderful guests that are here that I will put the volume up for very shortly. They're getting used to this. I'm
I'm not even interrupting you this time.
Oh my god, I'm Fornax.
Everyone, well done. Wait,
Goxler
what?
time.
Oh, what have you done?
Oh my gosh, Fornax is me.
Hello.
I'm Karoof.
Oh
I'm
wait,
amazing.
oh no. Oh sorry.
I'm me.
Hi everyone.
All right.
Whoops. Right,
Got
Harold.
people around the wrong way. Oh
On
yeah,
today's
because
video, we're going to be going over the top 10 looks that you can see in Guild Wars 2.
Hello, I am Boots.
That was not
Yeah,
Fornax's accent at all. I'm so
Right.
sorry.
wait.
I'm
You're
Karoof.
Karoof
I
now.
dropped cornbread on the floor. Was that good? I felt like that was really good.
That's my legacy.
Here we go.
That's also a Karoof sound to me.
Oh my god, sorry everyone. Oh, what happened? Okay.
Jebro, I think this podcast is off to a great start. I really loved
The intro
the
was
beginning.
much better, but
I
like,
was like, hello, I welcome everyone to the podcast. Sometimes it's hard to think of what the podcast should be about, but maybe today that's just what the podcast is going to be about. How hard it is to do a podcast.
I could do an episode on that. Good.
I don't know if
Really
I
good.
like it or hate your font for our names, Jebro.
It's actually,
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Did the
still
font change?
debating. It's changed because my
Has-
PC changed and I don't have the old font and I can't remember what the
So
font
it looks
was.
very normal, right? It looks like a normal whatever.
It's not. It's called
Arial
Folks.
kind of
It's
font.
called Folks.
Right, but look,
I was like,
there's one
oh.
difference between this font and a normal font like Arial, and can you figure out what it is?
One lives under the sea and sings music.
No,
Oh,
no,
God, I
it
knew
is.
someone was going to go there.
It is the eyes. Look at the eyes.
I know. There's a little tiny dot. I like it.
It's like a minuscule eye.
I know. I like
instead of a capital I, but it looks like a capital with a.
Oh, you're right. You're
Interesting,
right,
So
though.
I'm like, I understand why, so that it's differentiated. No, but the L's are probably. Hold on, is there any L's here?
No.
I don't
Yeah,
see any
Jebro,
L's.
we're going to need you to stop the podcast and fix the font issue. And then we'll start the podcast again, I'm thinking.
Okay, how about I do
Yeah.
this? I'll do this instead. We'll just have our faces. That's what. There we go. Does that work?
You know, we can,
better.
it's a new year. We can test different fonts. We can workshop
Sure.
it.
And honestly, like if
Absolutely.
people are listening, like they're not even gonna see it. So you know. We can. Hey, I can do that as a thing. In the comments below, please tell me which what font do you prefer to look at, and is this okay?
Font poll coming
poll.
in.
Font
Font
poll.
4 fonts.
Fornax is here, being all new year, new me.
Yeah, Fornax has
Yeah.
had a haircut, hairstyle thing.
This is not
And also,
glow
her
up over
eyes are
here.
bigger.
Yeah, what was your influence before regarding your avatar change?
Boredom. No, I like making them. They're fun to make. I don't want kind of like want the channel to be synonymous actually with one. I'm going to make a load of them that are funny and weird animals. I prefer them to be a bit more androgynous, to be honest. But yeah,
You're gonna make animals? Like what animals?
I was looking at a llama.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That would make sense for Guild Wars 2 as well, to be fair.
I like the llama.
Very PvP
Yeah.
focused. I like it.
Yeah, I get enough pocket miners on the channel, so I just, it has to be androgynous. It does.
I see.
Okay. We're going to start the podcast. I'm still debating whether or not we do intros anymore, because sometimes it could be a thing which takes a little bit of time. So we're going to do outros. But if you do not know the people on the podcast, we have Boots, we have Rookery, we have Kroof, we have Fornax. All of their stuff is in the description below. And if you don't know who they are by now, you should do it. You should just watch all the other episodes so you can get to know them more. But you'll get to know them in this actual show as well, because we are going to be talking to him.
So you're giving your suggestion for the viewers to get to know the people better, get to know the people on the show better, is to watch all the other episodes of this show on your channel rather than go to their channels.
Absolutely.
Oh no!
marketing.
But I actually I sit in the description below. All their stuff is there as well to go follow, to go check them out. I said that.
All right.
I said that.
Yeah.
Do that first.
I was like, no more. We don't have time. No more introductions. So if you want to know who in the hell these people are, then you're gonna have to figure it out yourself.
Every episode of
We
All right, do an
ain't got
intro.
time for
Let's do
that
an intro.
anymore.
Then we can do an intro now. All right, Rookery, what do you do when you do it? I'm done.
Dear.
No.
Go on. No, we're doing it. It's you've delayed the show, so no. Okay, no, we're doing it.
Well,
Absolutely.
okay, to be fair-
Blame Rook.
we gotta extend. Oh, all right. I'm happy with that. I thought it was my fault.
Blame
I
Boots.
thought it was my fault.
Blame
That's
Boots
great.
first.
Okay, thank you. Thank
But
you for
then-
your support. Until it's my fault, all blame gets removed from you. Okay. Hi, I'm Rook, aka Rookery. Let's take a little time to get to know each other. Let's just like hang out. Let's vibe a little bit.
We should
Jebro
do a
said this
Q&A
holds
session.
up. We should right now in this
Do
moment.
a questions and answers show.
Questions and answers. Dragneel asks, real endgame of Guild Wars 2 is gem store. Real endgame of any and all MMOs forever is fashion. We all know this. So if fashion encompasses gem store, then probably a part of it as well.
I like
Yes.
how it's a question because there's both a exclamation and a question mark at the end of it. Huh?
It's gem store?
It's
Gem
giving
store?
very much
Oh.
like it's giving very much like YouTube video clickbaity, like whoa, it's gem
Yeah.
store.
I mean, you'll get a lot of views on that Lightbringers episode if you do that.
Yeah, it's true. So yeah, that's, I guess now we know each other a little bit better. We know my opinions on fashion, maybe your opinions on fashion, but you can also get to know me over on my channel, where I usually stream 2 to 3 days a week. We were doing some variety. Then this week we had new content in 14, but we will be getting back to Guild Wars 2 next week. And you can find me over at Rookery, that's Rookuri. You can also find my YouTube channel, which is the same, Rookery. You can find me on Twitter at Rookery_, and on Instagram just at Rookery. But yeah, you can ask more questions. We can hang out. We can vibe. I love chatting. I love talking, and especially talking about the games we love.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. Boots, tell us what you're doing. Shit.
I'll let you do that again.
Yeah, take it again.
Okay, take 2.
Boots! Wait.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Boots! Or World of Enders, depending on where you're from.
I heard boo.
Is this new? Did I miss something?
There's no new. Go on.
Hi, World of Enders. On YouTube, I am World of Enders on YouTube. Boots is the name, and I'm on Twitter for now. And also,
Right now.
also, yeah, that's me. I make videos about Guild Wars 2 mostly.
You can check out their description in... No, wait. You can check out their channel in the description below. That one. Please go and follow Boots. Kroof is back for the first time in January. Well, for the first time in 2023, but also... Kroof has not been here for a while, everyone. So welcome back to Kroof. We have missed your face. We still
Oh,
miss your
hot in
face. Your face
Yeah.
is
Real hot
still
in it.
missing. But if you're
If
listening,
you haven't
Kroof
noticed, I was going to be doing face cam, but my laptop really struggles when it wants to look at my face, and I do as well when I look in the mirror. So I really understand that. Very relatable content from the laptop. But hi everyone, I'm so happy to be back. I would say that you can go over to my YouTube or my Twitch to watch some Guild Wars 2 content, but I've had a slew of so many computer problems. My PC is currently not running, but that will hopefully get rectified soon. But thank you so much for being here, and I really love to see all your faces again. It's so nice.
And if you want to donate to the Fix Bruce Computer Fund, they'll be setting that up.
Another GoFundMe, yeah.
Do a link and we'll help promote that. I'm serious. Okay.
Yeah, we shall see.
Good. Last but certainly not least, and welcome back, Criff. It's good to have you here. Our newest base member to the Lightbringers, who's back, and it's not new. You're not going to be new, not basic, like base as in the core people that I invite every week. Is Fornax, or the Crichton Herald, as you may know them from different places around the interwebs, with brand new face and armor. How are you doing? Tell us where you
YouTube maker and VTube character maker.
There you go.
I'm very well, thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year, crew. It's lovely to hear you again, Han.
Oh my gosh, I love you too.
It was so sad I missed you. I missed you last one. And I make Guild Wars 2 content on the internet under the Crichton Herald, the banner of the Crichton Herald.
Excellent. Oh my god, you got a sword and shield as well. That's great.
Good. I like the draw animation too.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Very good. And yeah, please make sure you check them all out. So they take the time out their awesome, out of their busy schedules to come and hang out and do this podcast, and they are very much appreciated. So it's January. MMO lull. Sometimes an MMO lull in January, I guess. In January is one of those funny months because everyone's kind of going back to work, or they're like kind of getting back into the groove of the year. They're not maybe
People
playing
haven't
many
figured out
games.
when to stop saying Happy New Year. We're still like, I think 4 days away from the time where you're not supposed to say Happy New Year.
There is
anymore.
no law against that.
Yeah.
I think it's just
There
when
might
you
be.
when you don't see someone or talk to someone, like it's like oh.
So like if you don't see somebody for a year and then see them in like November, would you say Happy New Year?
No. But
Why
like
not?
January's okay. I think January is okay. I think
I'll be
beginning
saying
of
Happy New
February
Year
is okay.
till September. Let's keep it going.
Let's just do it to piss boots off.
I think you're obligated to say happy whatever and everything that you've missed up to that point.
Yeah, I'm sorry you
think
missed
that's the
my
only
life
way.
up until now, this year. Time. Yeah, happy.
Yeah.
That works. But yeah, it's a funny time. Like summer used to be the major drought period for a lot of MMORPGs because of vacations and stuff, and that's not really the case anymore. So I think January is kind of more because everyone kind of, even if you celebrate Christmas or not, like just studios kind of almost they kind of close down. They kind of like just peace out for a while. Altogether, so that's the most kind of dead period, I guess, in MMOs, kind of patches and all the content and all the kind of things that come out. So sometimes it's a little bit difficult to stay in game. Maybe there might not be as much going on. There might not be much news, which we've not really had much of. You know, we're in the second week of January. Kind of expected a little bit of a blog post by now, but didn't really get that. And hopefully next week or the week after the very latest. It would be good to start getting some communication about what's going on. So yeah, I just thought it would be, and actually I was hoping this podcast would be us discussing a blog post. So
I know. Last week's podcast was, do you think there's going to be a blog post next week?
Yeah, so we failed, and that is not the case, unfortunately. But hey ho, here we are. So first of all, the first question I wanted to ask really was, as I get this back, it's just generally actually, and chat, like please, I would love to hear what you're thinking as well, and just in the comments below on YouTube. Do you play Guild Wars 2 on a daily basis? Like, I mean, we don't need to play games every day, I guess, like at all. And as we get older and, you know, we're all adults and like responsibilities and doing the things, like, you know, we might not have enough time. But, you know, younger peeps as well, thinking about, are we playing Guild Wars 2 every day? Is this something you do every day?
Who are you talking to?
You know,
What have
I actually.
Everyone, the world.
Do you want to go first, Boots? I'm so
Proof can go
sorry.
first.
No, I want to go.
I can't see
Third.
Crew's face, like reaction. Like, to
Yeah,
whether or not
you're
gonna
just gonna
start
be
talking.
surprised by the sound of my voice. I'm gonna come in like lightning. Just
Is it-
never expected.
Even with Fornax, like you can see the mouth start to move on the avatar, so like I know.
I'm like, ooh, jump scare. But I really, surprisingly, going into the new year, I actually was taking quite a break from Guild Wars 2. I really wasn't logging in and doing much. I would log in every once in a while, do a couple things, and then pretty much log out. But that's kind of the nature of Guild Wars 2 and other MMOs. But I was really taking the time to kind of refresh myself and just really relax, because I felt like it was a very busy year. Expansions, season 1, all that stuff, and I just wanted to try some other games. And I did recently play Guild Wars 2 for about a day, and then my computer died. So I have felt the call to Guild Wars 2 recently. So I think it's always good to take a break and, you know, realign yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this goes for all of my MMOs at this point anymore. I don't tend to just log in every day just to log in. I used to. Like, I'm not actually sure what caused a lot of the shift, but maybe in the last year, 2 years-ish, I wouldn't just kind of log in and just, you know, be there. Usually now I'm like looking to do something, you know, either I have something scheduled with people that I do, like we raid on Saturday nights, or I'm working towards something specific, or I even sometimes just want to go in for a photo shoot, or it has to kind of be more directed, because I think I realized.
So you going for a photo shoot?
Yes, sometimes I just log in and go for a photo shoot. Why would you do that?
The fashion.
Oh, I was like, what? Like, do you have like a crew that come with you and like just take screenshots of you?
No, I just log in for my own fun, and I'll like put together a new look and go do like screenshots or something. Sometimes I'll even, like, groups of friends will get together and we'll all go to a location and try to do different shots or stuff like that, or take pictures, and or we role play, or we, you know, are grinding something. So I don't tend to just like log in a lot of times in my spare time now. I think too, just because I found that like I was spending a lot of hours just logging in and like doing nothing. And then I was going, oh, well, I could be playing another game, or I could be making progress on something specific, or I could be trying to work through all those single player games I haven't worked through. So as life has become a little bit busier, I think I kind of figure out those hours. Plus, as a creator, it's a little different too, right? Because I already know most weeks that I'm going to have at least several days playing those games anyway. So yeah, I think at some point it became less of a like, I absolutely have to be in every day, and became more of something where I'm like, I feel more motivated to have direction when I'm logging into the game.
Good point. Okay. Boots? Or Phonics?
No, that's fine. That's I did say I wanted to go third, so that's perfect.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So yeah, for me, I have not been logging in every day, especially since I was gone for months, like away. So I was not able to log in for a while. And then when I came back, I was like, okay, I'll go back onto my World versus World for Legendary Armor grind. And then I realized, oh wait, since I was gone for a month, I didn't get the wood chest last time, so I get one less point per tick, one less pip per tick every for doing World versus World this week. So I was like, I'll just get the wood chest and then start over next week and not do it. Anyway, so I logged in for one day and got the wood chest, so that next week, or starting today, I'll be able to get extra, so it's more efficient, you see. Anyway, long story short, not recently logging in every day, but I usually go through different periods of logging in a lot or logging in not as much. When I have like a goal in mind that I'm doing, I'll log in probably every day, yeah. And that might last a week, that might last 2 months. And then I could go a week without playing, or I could go a month like I just did now without playing. Yeah. It's a great game for that.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
That's one of the things I like about it.
I'm gonna kind of I'll summarize people's thoughts after we've heard from Fornax, who last but certainly not least. What is? How about yourself?
I've always burned hot and cold, so I will jump in. Try to get in every Saturday to play with my guildmates. I have a World v Guild who they do basically a World v World raid at like, I think it's like 6 o'clock every day for a couple of hours. So I've always got that to jump into, which is really nice. I did a couple of sessions this week. But at the moment, here's the thing. I like the new shinies. I like the new story. And I'm a bit all in or all out. So I played Heart of Thorns until my face fell off. You know, I was just, and then I'll not pick it up for a month, and then I'll go and do something else. Like I played I play quite a lot of Switch games. Because I'm disabled, I find myself like bedbound a bit. So I'll be on my Switch and I'll be playing all sorts of games like Cozy Grove, and I've played.
Oh my god, Cozy Grove is amazing.
So
like
cute.
In our Discord, we have like 4 or 5 people daily who share screenshots of their character from Cozy Grove.
I tell you, my favorite at the moment is Beacon Pines.
Okay.
Which is just amazing. I think I probably got the name wrong. I'll if anyone's interested, hit me up in the DMs. It's one of the best games I've ever played on the Switch. But yeah, so sorry, derailing. But I play sporadically, and I want to go and see what's new. But at the moment, lots of stories is what I'm interested in, and we're waiting. We're in the interim. We're waiting.
Okay, so there's like, generally it sounds like people kind of, they're chilling. They're not like, they don't feel like there's a pressure to log in and do the things. I think we've all played the game for a fair while now, where we feel like at the point where we don't need to be grinding, we don't need to be doing mythic dungeons every day, we don't need to be raiding every day to do the things. There's access, as Boots says, to getting legendary armor elsewhere, so you can kind of do that in World v World rather than just doing raiding all the time, or other things.
Well, and then my next thing is raiding. I got the PvP this year. I've been doing the legendary grind, and by grind I mean the quest. So I got the PvP set earlier in the year. I am 5/6 of the way through the World versus World set, and then I've started the rating set. I've got 2 pieces of that so far. So
cool. Well, there you go. I mean, it's like a kind of more, you can chill with it. There's no like emergent, and I guess that's what you were saying as well, because like you were saying with the cat, it feels like you can kind of just hang out in Guild Wars 2. There's no pressure to play. Whereas like a lot of MMOs in the past, I think there's always been this kind of underlining pressure to maybe, you know, grind something or do something specific. And even with the dailies, even if you just do logging every day, like I sometimes try to, it's like you get the daily chest, and that's probably about it sometimes, or maybe do daily PvP because I just want 2 gold. Like,
because you hate yourself, because you like to feel pain.
Yeah, well, actually, Kroof, yes.
Wow.
It is painful. Balance.
I mean, to be honest though, that's PvP and World vs. World. Those are the types of things that. So in PvE, when new content is released, you'll have lots of people who have that impetus that they want to log in every day and get something done really quickly, or try to get world first on some things, or try to grind something out really quickly, get the newest cool thing really fast, like the Orion weapons, and but in World vs. World and PvP, those are so that's like things that you might want to do every day as well. Yeah. If it's in a good state, like you want to, that's a thing that people can grind on more insanely in some cases than PvE.
True.
So
yeah, there's no like hard end to competitive play. It's purely based on the player's desire to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So I was just gonna say that I think that it's. Guild Wars 2 is a game that you can just take it easy if you want to, especially in PvE right now when there's no new releases. But I don't know if that's a good thing for the game if PvP seems to be something that nobody really wants to take that seriously right now.
I mean, it's so interesting with PvP stuff. I've been witnessing recently a lot of games, I think, grapple with sustaining PvP audiences. Like 14 just had a big rework of their PvP system. And genuinely, I think it's so fun. I think it's the most fun it's ever been. They introduced reward tracks. They have all these extra rewards at vendors. And I'm still coming across like 90 something, not 90%, I don't know, but a huge amount of players that just have not set foot in PvP and have like no real interest in engaging with it. I think we've seen PvP modes also struggle in other games. Guild Wars 2, I think, kind of had a unique reversal in that it started with a strong PvP base. But of course, there's been a lot of things over the years that maybe have detracted people from that. But I mean, I think I've seen this in just about every game. In theory, people get really hyped and competitive in a sense with PvP, but games seem to struggle long term with how do you continue to motivate players to come in to continue to do these exact same kinds of cycles. Like, is it a prestige thing? Is it a difficulty thing? Is it a public eye kind of thing where having public tournaments makes that somehow it keeps the energy sustained in a sense? What is it that keeps people in it? I know for myself personally, I tend to have more fun in PvP modes that are like team efforts, like team against team, that have like simple, achievable, but like really rewarding kind of like goals within them. Like, okay, well, we need to do X, Y, or Z, but how we do that is part of the fun of PvP. And if you feel really good playing on your class, then for me, I'll play those a lot, but it has to also have some kind of reward affiliated with it that might be unique to some degree. Still, it's hard because I think you do just get burned out on that in a sense of like, you go really hard one season and it just starts over again. And I think that's partially too what kind of drew me away somewhat from even some of those grinds now. Like, I used to log in all the time for grinds where it's like, this is going to be a really hard thing and you have to go super hard on it and you're going to have to be looking for pug groups all the time. And I think at a certain point I was just like, ain't nobody got time for that. Like, if I'm gonna go in and do something really hard, like I want to do it with people that I enjoy. I don't want to spend 8+ hours in front of my screen screaming because like pug groups are terrible and people are mean and like everything is stressful. So I mean, yeah, it's interesting. It's this fine balance between having rewards that people want to work for long term, but not having it be something where they start feeling too much like they're just repeating the exact same thing, or it's really frustrating. Like, there's a frustration tipping point where people just get tired of it and don't want to keep going with it. I don't know what the full solution is, but
yeah, it's an undefinable problem, I think.
Yeah.
It happens with every single PvP game out there, even PvP like only games like Apex Legends, like
I think there's
a longer
in
game
MMOs,
exists.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
It's a 10-year-old game, so it's like,
True.
Yeah, probably there's some burnout from.
I just don't think they spice it up enough.
No, their focus is. You're right. Go on, Griff. Sorry.
When you got literally the same game mode for 10 years, there's only so much that you can find and so long that you can find enjoyment in until your brain starts to recognize you're doing the exact same thing over and over again. And the games that I really enjoy that do have competitive features often, mix and match it up, like taking Fall Guys, for example. Like, there's so many different like sub-objectives and like mindsets that you have to put yourself in order to engage in that competitive mode. Like, even something like Capture the Flag or like Base Capture, Death Match, Stronghold. These are certain features that like could be expanded upon and like kept in the normal rotation, not just in like off-season one-off things. But I don't know. I feel like Guild Wars 2's PvP is also still clinging to the sense that it's like competitive at the level of public display when I really feel like they should just lean into the fun of it and kind of just be like, make more exciting and interesting decisions.
Absolutely. That's been, I don't want to turn this into a PvP podcast, but that is a very good point specifically. It's like, it is, because I comment, and again, it's been a long time since I commentated it professionally, but I was a professional commentator for Guild Wars 2. I got paid for it. It was like my job. It was one of my jobs. And like, it was a thing. So it was like the tools we had to show it off really to a degree where people could really understand it was always very difficult. So I always focused about what you're saying, Groove, the enjoyment of it, the hype, the fun, rather than the very technical side, because I think the audience of Guild Wars 2, like, we didn't cater to enough people to really sell that side. And that was always my kind of point of it. But like and technical and analytical side was always very important. But I think we were trying to be like this edgelord kind of, hardcore esports thing, competing with like CS:GO and like, all these League of Legends and stuff. And I was just like, well, what? Like, we're an MMORPG for a start. We're not World of Warcraft. We don't need to do these things. And it needs to be. It's too difficult. People don't get it. They don't know how to they don't know how to rotate. They don't know the benefits of rotations. They will watch a million videos and still not get it. Whereas like Final Fantasy 14 is like a bit like Overwatch, and it's just one thing that you push from end to end, and it's pretty easy to understand. But there's these other strats that you can have in it which make it very unique and very fun. And it was like, played that, I was like, boom, that is perfect. Like, well done, good job.
I do think that a lot of it's just it's funny that we got on PvP, but it makes sense because when you think about, right, we're talking about like, why would you log in daily to play the game? So what we're really looking for are types of repeatable content in MMOs that you use to pad out time between something like a big release, right? Like what drives you to do it? So immediately when I think about those types of things, PvP matches, in theory, what keeps it fresh is the fact that you're always playing against different people or against people themselves. But I think everybody has brought up some really good points in that I think you do need new things coming to the table. And I think you do also need, while like visibility of high-end performance play can motivate people, right? The vast amount of people that are going to be engaging with that game mode are, and I say again, I always preface this, not like with hostility, but casual players who are just like, oh, I've got a bit of time and whatever, I guess I could do some matches, like, and I could work towards getting something, right? And so you pop in to do something like that because you can just queue in, it's easy, it's quick. Theoretically, it's always running. It's not something that's like current content or stuff like that, right? So I think that PvP falls really neatly into that category. We talked about daily login incentives as well, but I actually think this kind of goes hand in hand as well with PvP stuff, all game modes, honestly, because I found recently that it's a double-edged sword, and I'll get into it, but I have found recently that if games have something for me that is more of a casual day-to-day work towards it kind of thing, like not something that is again going to be grueling, brutal, it's going to take 5,000 hours of my life to get this one thing, to craft a thing that eventually one day will pay off to give me this thing, but more so like smaller tidbit incentives that I find kind of interesting or engaging. Like ESO added in those little ventures, and I actually really loved those because when you log in, I'd be like, I would accidentally do one and then it'd be like, you completed a venture, and then I'd be like, oh right, and I'd go look and I'd see like, oh, what are the other ventures? Oh yeah, I've got time for that, I could do that really quick. And you'd be earning currency essentially for loot box cash shop stuff, but like, you work on that longer term and put time in it, it kind of engages you. Same thing with the reward tracks that they added to PvP, where even if I'm playing casually, win or lose, casual, ranked, it doesn't matter. You might earn different amounts of points that take you to the next tier, but they have like started releasing this stuff where they say, hey, this season is coming to an end, new season starting, take a look at what's coming up. And then you see the rewards, and it's less of like a put 5,000 hours of blood, sweat, and tears into this, and more of a, oh, look, well, if I play X amount of matches, then I'm getting all these currency. Oh, but then I get an emote, or oh, but then I get this thing, or if I go all the way through, I get this really cool new gear set. So like them kind of heralding it and then giving me these little like breadcrumbs that I like go and I pick up and I'm like, so then before I know it, I put like 5,000 in. Yeah,
we have reward tracks.
No, that's what
in that's PvP and World vs. World. Maybe we could add, just like seasonal reward tracks and new ones that aren't. Yeah, that'd be great.
That just aren't like old. Well, they do it for the episodes for the Living World, but they're not. They don't feel special or frequent enough, and they're not unique enough because you can earn those rewards in.
I mean, and I'm sure they do that for a reason.
Obviously, because for access, right? But like it still doesn't feel. It just feels like it's not an automatic thing, and people don't like. You get the emo, and that's it. Like it doesn't take like you can say about potions and just whack through an entire track and pretty easily. It just doesn't feel unique and different, I guess.
Having unique motivators, right? Like play for this time period and you can work towards this. I mean, it can be deeply frustrating if you miss it. But I think that like if you just have something that's just static, that's just been in there for a long time, you're again kind of missing out on that conversation cycle or like that word of mouth or that announcement kind of cycle. So like having distinctive seasons and stuff with these unique rewards, which theoretically are supposed to eventually come back in. So like even if you don't get them in that season, down the road, supposedly they're going to be added back into the currency vendors. But you know, who knows how long after they were originally featured for their seasons. So like even if you missed it at that time, theoretically you should be able to still get something down the road. But I've liked that more recently than I think I have in the past. And I mean, I always find too that even just knowing that there's more quests or more things like that kind of draws me to log in daily. More and more so, I feel like if there's something that feels like it's really mandatory or really trite or really arbitrary for me to do it, I find myself balking against it. Like, you're going to make me log in every day just to buy this thing from a vendor, just to do a thing. Like, for me...
Like back piece in Draconis Mons.
There's loads of things like that though, the time gated things, like the legendary armor with the tokens and just like but yeah, but it does get you to log in, so there's always that they have to have that strategy for but MMO strategy feels it does feel outdated. Like, it doesn't feel in this way of like how people are like, and as the MMO are like audience gets older, especially Guild Wars 2, and sure, there's new people and like, you know, the kids of the MMO players of old, like, you know, they're rotating around and playing the games now as well. Like, there is an idea that, you know, there's not really been thought in maybe just the MMO universe of creation wise, like of moving with the times and how we can, you know, be a little less grindy about things, because people's attention is not the way it used to be. Like,
they are saying after alliances, they say they will be looking at and changing the reward system in Role versus World, which I think is important because it is definitely one of those things that is counter your time. The chests you get that give the pips for the rewards are more and more expensive for less and less, but more expensive time wise for less pips as you go along. Or no, it's more, you get more pips as you go along. Anyway, the point is you get a lot more pips by the end of it.
Okay. And
very little pips at the beginning of it. So you need to like really put 12 hours at least or more, 16 hours of doing World versus World every week. And it resets every week too. So you go back to the earning a very little amount at the beginning of every week again. So I feel like it's counter respecting your time in that case, even though
we can come up with a phrase there. Can
we point out that World v World hasn't had a new map since Heart of Thorns?
Okay, well, there's a reason for that too.
Why can't
I mean, so I would love a new map, but when that happened, when the map came out in Heart of Thorns, the community like had a huge backlash and told them don't do this, put the other maps back in.
I was like Stronghold as well. Yeah.
This is the thing
I think they're regretting it though now, aren't they? They're bored. They need they can see everybody getting all these new shiny places to visit. And what do they have? A new reward track too?
No, you're right. I think they should be regretting it because it's a great map. It's just a little bit bigger than they were used to. It's perfect for right now that gliding and mounts are in World versus World, but it was released back when gliding mounts weren't in World versus World.
I mean, that's such a good point. I think you have to have a cycle of new stuff coming at some point for these modes to continue to motivate people, right? I know I am more likely to log in when I know I am working towards something like, oh, a new release is coming out. Well, I better prep and get ready, or this thing or that thing, right? I better get back into that. And then I know that something new is coming out for it. And then it happens, and then I get that too. So adding in new maps with those sorts of with those modes is important. And I think it's also important to the community to realize that like feedback is feedback, and like lambasting something is different than that, right? That kind of constructive feedback, because we do all want new features and new things. I will say this much, getting off the topic of PvP a little bit, just more to the general question of like what makes me play when I get into swings of playing Guild Wars 2 daily. And I think recently for me, a lot of things, for all that I talked about, little breadcrumbs and stuff, I have recently been coming back in when I find some new gear set on some new map that I never knew existed. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I can get this and I can upgrade it on this map?
True.
Okay. Like, let me back in. And like, I just recently saw, oh, it's from one of the Path of Fire maps. And what was funny is that they actually featured it in the gem store advertisement for the Aurene pieces that they're selling on the gem store. And I was like, where is that armor? What's that armor that they're wearing? And I like, lo and behold, found out that it was one that's been on one of the Path of Fire maps that you can upgrade, and when it upgrades it looks really beautiful, and I didn't even know it existed. And so those sorts of things then become my to-do lists where I log in every day, again, not because it's some you have to do this because of time gating or X, Y, or Z, but because I went, oh my gosh, I do actually really want this. And now this gives me direction in like what I'm going to do on this map. So like, I'm going to go back to this map, I'm going to figure out the steps, and I'm going to get to it, and I'm going to gather the stuff, and then I'm going to get this new look because I really love this armor and I think it's really pretty. And I've done that a lot where I will find myself like getting into the swing of playing every single day because I have that kind of directed path again, and I know exactly what I want. And then I'm like, okay, this gives me that structure to do all this other stuff.
Yeah, it's a very goal-oriented game in a lot of ways too. That like, I think I'm a lot like you in that I set my own goals in this game a lot of the time, and that's what gets me in those spurts of 2 months of playing for like doing the leveling to 80 through fishing, for example. That was a goal I definitely set myself, and that got me playing for a lot more than I thought I would be for that particular thing. But yeah, no, I think that's what it is. It's Guild Wars 2 is a lot of fun, and for me these days, because it's been so long, I set myself little goals and I go to do them.
What are your guys' thoughts on like intrinsic versus extrinsic rewards for gameplay? Because I think that the stuff that Boots does is intrinsic. This is stuff that you're doing for the joy of it, rather than extrinsic, the carrot at the end of the stick. And I wonder what the balance is. So for each of us,
it's probably a lot less people that do that. It's like maybe in the more specialized goals that Boots comes up with, maybe, but like in terms of skins and
I think there's a good amount of people. I know, like,
you think there's a good amount of people that level up 1 to 80? Just
no, not
fishing?
That specific thing, but have their own little goals that aren't have their own little goals that aren't necessarily extrinsically rewarded.
No.
Like Alona from Host of Ascalon just finished. I think she just finished getting all of the circus weapons from Ember Bay, and
that's still a reward though. There's no
achievement.
Skin?
You get the skins, I guess. That's the reward in itself. But that's a goal to get skins, I guess. But it's not an extrin. Yeah, it's like there's no reason to complete it though. But there's no reason to complete it. There's no like secret achievement or anything. It's just it's
the achievement rewards aren't great anyway. People are doing it for the skins. Yeah.
I think any long-time MMO player will have had that moment where they've needed to create their own goals, no matter how extreme or how frequent. So I would say that, especially if you're playing Guild Wars 2, that's most definitely popped up. Even when you're leveling, you have to internally decide what you want to do and like how to level. Sometimes you can take the more clear path if you want to, but at some point that might run out, as any story does. And I usually log in for the story content. So in the interim, in the waiting period of getting that story content, you got to kind of like stretch the imagination a little bit. And I think OS2 has so many different elements to it, like most every other MMO, that you end up finding little bits to keep yourself entertained with for some time.
Isn't intrinsic reward in Guild Wars 2 though community? You think? Did you say that was an intrinsic reward?
It can be. It depends what your motivation is and your end goal with a community.
I mean,
like if you want to ostracize the community, I guess that's not an intrinsic reward.
I mean, I feel like
Jesus.
I feel
Anyone
like
wants an
okay.
example of that, go look at Twitter at the D&D community right now.
Oh,
Oh,
geez,
it's
yeah.
on fire. Holy cow.
Mhm.
I mean, I think that is something. Okay, so like Fornax, let me know if my interpretation of how you phrase this is correct. But like, okay, so an intrinsic goal being something that is a self-directed goal that you have structured some kind of like, you know, limitations or specific kind of achievement style, right? Like Boot's saying, I'm going to level to 80, but I'm only going to do it through fishing. Or like, you know, me logging in and being like, because I do this sometimes too, where I'm like, today I'm going to go around and I'm going to learn the story of whatever NPCs on this map, or I'm going to walk the whole thing, or I'm going to have some kind of immersive experience, right? Like that's something where I create my own limitations around it and my own journey, but the game itself doesn't necessarily package it as thus to deliver to me, versus extrinsic, which would be something like, well, I like like I need to get legendary armor, so I have to complete this collection and this is how I do it. Or like I am gonna run this content or do this thing, but like this is the structure of how you achieve this reward, and the game itself sets that up, and that's like exactly how you do it. And you know, or it's a story and you're just progressing through the story. Is that what you mean between those two differences?
Spot on. So intrinsic rewards, like you love to paint. You don't get, the only thing that you get out of painting is you've painted.
That's exactly
Then
what I mean with the
if you sell a
community.
painting?
Yeah, well, don't muddy the waters at this point. I thought
That's
it was a
what I mean
reasonable
by
example.
intrinsic. That's what I thought you meant by intrinsic. So
Yeah.
good. So that's the
Yeah.
community
Yeah.
part that I was
Yes,
talking about.
it's for the joy of it rather than so it's not some external force pushing you into it. There's not some value that's going to be added by completing it. That there's no carrot.
Hey.
There's no carrot other than
What's that saying about
personal
leveling
joy
to
and
83?
happiness.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
there's not. But
no
your value.
value.
But
Sadomasochism is a choice, and I respect that choice. Okay.
In that regard, yes, I do think that community building or like engaging in a community or building a community within an MMO is definitely, it would fall into that intrinsic category, like you were saying, Jeb. And because it is something that you are choosing to undertake because it enriches the game, the world, the experience, the hours for you, even if as a community you eventually are working towards extrinsic goals in the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it works hand in hand with some things. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not
I
a pure
think
thing. Yeah, you have often a mix of both of them. So
exactly. So in that regard, I do think that communities, and I know this is something that we're going to talk about more later, but I think that that is a big part of any MMO landscape and why you continue to engage with the game. I mean, think about how many people that we've heard that, I mean, stuck in WoW for years, even if they were really unhappy with the game, they were really unhappy with recent expansions, they were really not like, you know, they didn't feel great about their money, but you'd ask them and they'd say, well, I've been in my guild for 15 years, or I've been in my community, or my friends play it, or things like that. So I do think that's something that I am more likely to log into a game daily if I do have people around me that are like, hey, we're doing a treasure map night. Sorry, that's 14. Or like, hey, we're doing raids tonight. Hey, we're going to do fractals. Hey, we're going to go do this meta. Hey, does somebody want to? So like, I think a lot of the MMO landscape is also, you know, it's based around that MMO capacity. Not everybody's going to experience it that way, but in those portions of time where I am trying to structure my own intrinsic goals, which there are so many you can make in Guild Wars 2. There are so many. Yeah. Honestly, Guild Wars 2 shines for this. Like, if you're like, I just found out that I can collect all these dumb chairs and I'm going to get every chair in the world. I'm going to sit on every chair in the world and then I'm going to get a chair. Or you're going to do the cat stuff, or you're going to do jump puzzles, or you're going to take screenshots around the world, or you're going to follow NPCs, or you're going to replay all of the stuff for achievements. I mean, those might, like, again, we might be straddling the extrinsic and intrinsic, but there's so much that you can just kind of identify and choose to do in this game. So if you're ever looking for something, I mean, you can absolutely find it. I know most weeks if I picked a thing, I would have a reason to log in every day. It just depends on whether or not I'm like, do I really want this now? Do I really need it? Is it something I really like? Am I like really excited now that I found out about it? And sometimes for me, I do think the deciding factor of whether or not I hop in is if at least one other person is also interested in that. And then I'm like, oh, oh, okay, yeah, now this is a priority and we can hang out and do this week. We can get you your sky scale. We can, play whatever. We can run metas together. So I do think that's also something that oftentimes gets me to like go in more than what I naturally do.
It's weird, like...
So do you... Sorry, before you continue, I will forget this. Do you have the invisible chair?
I do.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
I'll stop now. Sorry.
Chair. I think we've all got it, haven't we?
Well, but that goes to anybody out there too that hasn't gotten it from the Extra Life quest chain that happened this year, because you can still do it in game. It's permanent and it's so fun, and I enjoyed doing that without guides. Even if you can, put your brain to it and see if you can figure it out, reference a guide if there are spots where you're like, oh, I don't know, but just go to some places, see if you can figure it out, because it was really fun.
It was fun. Okay, I like it. And I was just thinking while you were talking about that, another reason why I used to log into game, because we actually developed I don't know if anyone remembers, but way back in the day, Engine is engine.com used to have like guild websites that you could make with like a template, and you would have like a mini chat and like telling people whether or not you're on Mumble or whatever. But the main reason we would log into games was to see where our friends were. Like, where is everyone? Like, are they in the guild chat there? Can we hang out? Can we talk? And then Rift had like an app where you could have a guild chat on your phone as well, which is always really cool. So you could engage different ways. But now you don't need that because you've got Discord. So that's another reason why you don't necessarily need to log into your game, because like your contact list is in your Discord and like community if you're lucky enough to belong to one. So, lucky enough, you just need to put yourself out there, I guess. But it's, sorry, go on, Mooch.
So thinking of a community, and one of the things I like about Guild Wars 2 that I think I mentioned at the beginning, that one of the things I like about it is that you don't actually have to log in every day. You could just relax and take it easy. And that's because of the way from conception, as it not having a sub fee is one of the things that really does that. Like when I played WoW,
good point.
I logged in every day, I think, when I was playing WoW.
Is it like get your money worth kind of thing?
Because it felt a little bit of the get your money worth, a little bit of the also with the grind that they had, trying to get new gear all the time with every expansion. There was always like the fear of being left behind. So it felt like a job sometimes, but Guild Wars 2 doesn't have that as much, and I think that's really good.
That is true.
I agree with that. I think some of the times that I have been totally turned off of playing daily are when daily incentives become punishing in that sense. And I mean, I went really hard on WoW for a while, and I remember what finally broke me was I really wanted to unlock, was it Night Elf? And you had to do the rep grind to unlock Night Elf, and it was abject.
I needed
Void
the
Elf,
dwarf.
that's what it was. Void
I
Elf,
needed the
Void
dwarf
Elf
as well, the forged, the fired, whatever the flip they're called.
Yeah, but like it was so miserable. The content you were required to do was not fun. It was mind-numbing. It took a billion years, and it got to the point where just the thought of logging in to do that every day, it was a negative feeling that I had about the game, where I was like, oh, I have to do that again today. And like, I think that's where you start seeing daily incentives tip into the realm where you are almost driving players away. Like, you have to keep things fresh, interesting. There has to be, for especially these longer in between patch content kind of grind things, there has to be something about them that is like rewarding, interesting, dynamic. That could be that as you progress it, you get more story. That could be that as you progress it, you see a region be rebuilt or something be rebuilt, but in a way that doesn't feel like it's super long just to get nothing, like my mastery for Arborstone, actually, it felt great. I got it. I got my stuff. I got to see it all upgrade. It was really cool. And then my NPC was there, and that was extra exciting. Like, but that didn't feel miserable as opposed to other places where it's paced out so long, and the actual activities might be tiresome, obnoxious, like hard to do in some capacity. If it's something where like I feel like I remember back then that there were a couple of the dailies or something that like either the AI of the groups you had to take with you, or you had to find this thing on a map that was like super hard to track down. It was really obnoxious. Like again, it was just one of those things where it didn't feel like that energy investment was paying off on a smaller day-to-day scale in such a way that it felt like the scales were balanced well, right? And I mean, I think that's one thing that intrinsic goals have over extrinsic oftentimes in the, hey, what do I want to do in game? What's going to keep me logging in? Because with intrinsic goals, they're much more flexible and based off of, like everybody was saying, what brings you joy. So if you get to the point where you're like, oh, I don't find this fun anymore, is it going to hurt you to stop? No. Like you just, I guess, stop it, and then it's not fun anymore, so you just don't do it anymore. You don't continue leveling your character to 80 only on Fisher if you're weak and you're not boots, you know? Versus extrinsic goals that are like long time cycles that force you to do something that everybody has. On one hand, it's good because I do think it, again, community, right? If everybody's going through this thing together and you hear people talking about it, I think you are more likely to do it, and you all have to go through it. But it's always that careful tipping point where like you don't want it to be something where it starts enforcing negativity across the board. You want it to be something more so that like rolls people into it. And I think maybe we saw that in Guild Wars 2 with Skyscale initially at its release. Like so many of the steps were just the exact same thing. Do the exact same loop on the map, but this time you're putting medicine on eggs, but it's like literally the exact same spots you already visited when you were going to hang out with the sad size sky scales, and now you just keep doing the exact same map over and over and over on Dragonfall, and you're locked out of stuff, and you're like, and it's really hard to collect all these things, and you don't have the sky scale yet, so trying to navigate this map is a huge hassle. That was something where I think we saw that tipping point where the community who might have been logging in every day to do it were like, I don't want to do this anymore, and I'm very unhappy about it.
I'm getting provisioner token flashbacks.
That's the worst. Yeah, that
They're
was
not
the worst.
so bad.
Once
They were really bad back in the day. They were
bad.
excruciating.
I'm still doing them. They're not that bad.
No.
I'm nursing my here because she's going highborn, and I unlocked all of them in WoW. So what does that say about me as a person? Oh my god,
this is a lot that you might want to write in a journal.
It means that you have a lot of
you might want to keep that close to your chest.
You have a lot of resilience, is what I would say.
Oh yeah,
hey, there's the
hardworking.
therapist. There you go. You got to
Provision
reframe
tokens
these things sometimes. If you
you
think
used
about
to
the
have
negative
to.
things and you do that,
This is
reframe.
wild.
It was wild. You're right. You know, it was a long. It was still a long process. But Guild Wars 2 isn't that game. But I think they still need to have those parts in it to cater to some people who are like the big crowd of people who are like classic MMO. I need to be grinding something, otherwise I don't feel like I can log in every day and connect to the game in that way. Because we all connect to games and content in different ways, and I think the MMO. When you think about MMORPGs, and we had this conversation last week, you know, Crichton Herald, I go to think about raids with you and what you were talking about, and what what you link specifically to MMORPGs is raids is always there, dungeons and questing and that kind of thing. Like it's synonymous with that content, and it's like, well, there kind of does have to be something, but maybe we can do it in our own way and have our own spin on it, and it kind of. Some of the stuff is very similar to other MMOs, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think we all connect to things in different ways, and people do log in to do those things every day. Like you have, because you actually have to. Like, otherwise, you're not going to get it done.
We were all just last week, I think, begging for quests for standard quests in the game.
Yeah, but quests feel different to me, right? Because like
they're not a grind usually. Well, unless it's kill 10 rats.
It depends if it's a rep quest grind. Yeah. If it's just like a standard thing, but Guild Wars 2 isn't like that, and it is very different. I'm going to push us on a little bit. But it was all kind of related. But it's like this idea that I don't like logging into a game every day anymore on the same thing, because I just like to do other things, and I feel like if I don't have to do that, then cool. And I've really liked that point, Boots, that you made about the money side of it and like money's worth, because that plays into different things of us as people as well, because it's like, you know, if I pay this, like I've been paying for an ESO sub for years, and sometimes I don't play for a couple of months and I'm like, oh god, but I get a build up of crowns thankfully as well, so like, you know, there's another reason why that's okay, and they're a little bit cheaper. But
yeah,
anyway.
For some people, being stuck in an MMO is because of, you know, the getting the money's worth situation, and for some people it's a sunk cost fallacy. It's, I've spent so much time in here, I have to keep going, or else...
Exactly, yeah, otherwise it's been a waste. And I think sometimes people can think and feel like it's been a waste, but it's not at all. It's no, how you frame
you
that,
time, right? You have fun. Exactly, you have fun when you're in the game. That's it. And that's all that matters.
Okay, so if you do log into Guild Wars 2, when you do, what's the first thing you do? Just like you know, it doesn't have to be really
well, first, you know. I press play, and then it loads up and it boots up. And boots. Oh man, that took me a second. I was like, oh my god,
I was in the game.
Thank you.
But actually, this is something that I've been doing recently. I have so many characters, and back in the last year, wink wink nudge nudge, I would always have a lot of difficulty choosing which profession I wanted to play on, and this is kind of like an intrinsic fun mini game that I've been playing, but I have a die, and it has all of the profession icons on it, and it's so beautiful. And so what I've been doing is, before, when I was streaming, to pick which character and which class I'd play on, I would roll the die, and I just play that for that stream. And it's like such like a fun roulette game to play with, and like I don't know, it just really spiced up my time, because I never knew what I was gonna play that day for that stream, and it's just been fun.
Nice.
Okay.
I like that.
Fair.
I like that.
Anyone else? What do we do?
That's like a side anecdote for like what I don't actually do in game, but like that's how I get into the game.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. No, go.
Sorry. For the first like 4 or 5 years of the game, I spent my time playing through the story. So I just make a character, I play start to finish, and then make another character, and then play start to finish. And I just and just like doing map completion and doing guild missions, and a lot of my time was spent like role playing with my friends.
Yeah. In the game, or just you mean in life?
In game. Okay. No. I'm a hermit. That's why I haven't had COVID yet. No, I'm good.
Please don't roleplay and get COVID.
No, that's not worth it. No.
Wait, was the end of your talk?
Okay.
I was like,
that's it.
Ta-da! Okay. Yeah.
I tend to log in, and then a lot of times I don't know why, but I'll just touch on whatever's happening with my character's fashion. I'll just log in, and then I'll look over it. If there's something new in the cash shop, I'm sorry, this is shameful, but it's the truth. If there's something new in the gem store or the cash shop, then I'm like, ooh, I'll create a new look for that. I'll, sort through whatever is going on with that in that regard. Or even if something just caught my eye that I normally haven't put on, or if I'm just feeling some other look, I'll do something like that, which is a real hassle when people want to play with me, because inevitably it's login and then it's like, Rook, what are you doing? I'm like, well, right now I'm putting together a look based off of a jungle theme. And it like literally to the point where my partner eventually, like when we would be ready to log into an MMO, they would just be like, okay, cool, well, I'll see you in 20 minutes when you're done actually sorting out your character, and then I'll join you. So I tend to do that. And then, after that, it kind of depends on what I'm up to. Like I said, anymore, I tend to be logging on for a specific purpose. So a lot of times I'll even have whatever I need kind of pulled up ahead of time. Like, okay, well, what am I working on? Legendary. Cool. Well, then I have my document or my, links for whatever reference for my legendary that I need. And I've got those already up. And then I know, like, when I get into game exactly what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. Otherwise, if I'm just if it's like an aimless day, sometimes I'll just pick different maps. I'll go to a different map and I'll just wander around it or, kind of vibe, just kind of vibe. So I tend to just sort of do that as opposed to, I guess, anything else. I don't usually like log in and then immediately shout out like, hey, what's everybody up to? Like, you want to do X, Y, or Z? I tend to just kind of log in, have my fashion, I get my fashion sorted, and then I kind of go about what I'm doing specifically. So.
Okay. Boots?
I'm goal oriented, I think also. Well, I have been recently anyway, so it's world versus world usually when I log in these days. Or if I'm done with world versus world for the week, I'll log in, check the looking for groups, see if there's anything going on for raids, and then hop off if not. But in the past, it's definitely been log on, look at a character, think of something fun to do with it, think of a build that I can make for it. Nowadays, like I don't make builds that often anymore because I'm still waiting to get all my legendary armor before I delve into all the builds that I can make with them, because it was too expensive in the previously to continuously making builds by just getting exotic armor and then salvaging it when I was done with it. So now if I have a build in mind, it's usually not me just tooling around inside the game. It's I have an idea outside of the game and make it in the game. Like I know enough about the way combat works, the way characters work, the way the systems work, that I don't need to be in the game most of the time when I come up with ideas. So like I'll use Guild Wars 2 skills.net to like work out the build itself and then go in the game and try it out. And then I'll, try it out for 2 months before making a video about it just to see if I like it first. But yeah, it's goal oriented, I'd say nowadays.
Okay. For what I do every day, when I log in, the first thing I do is, I actually go and check the fashion stuff, but I check the statuettes first. And I can't remember which day this changes on and how long it's been and when I last checked. So I'll check the statuettes. There is a cool chair in there at the moment, which is very engineer specific, which I need to go get. So I do that. But normally it's click that daily chest and get my 2 gold for the dailies via PvP. I have a 1 game rule because I have a 1 game rule because I will get salty AF. Like, I am not swearing. It was like, just honestly, generally, like, it's just a bad experience. It's the community is toxic and it's not good most of the time. There are those days where I'm pleasantly surprised and I'll stick around, but I'll be like, in that first game, if I lose, I'm going to leave it there. And if I don't lose and it was fun, I might play again, or I might play until I lose. And if people are being shitty in map or team chat, I'll just leave because I got no time for that. So that is what I kind of do. But also, I think I just walk into a map sometimes. I've got a bit of a better graphics card now, so I'm kind of just like exploring a little bit sometimes. But it's not a huge amount. Like, I'm not really playing Guild Wars 2 a lot at the moment. And also that's just because of a new job. When I was creating content, playing Guild Wars 2 is a little bit more of a priority. I'm still creating content, obviously, the Guild Wars 2 Lightbringers. I'm still going into the game. There's still Guild Wars 2 streamer as well and partner. But like on the weekends, maybe streamer for like a few hours as well. But there's nothing really specifically have a goal for. I think now it's turned from playing the game to just getting to know people, and also just finding a bit of space for myself in a place which is a bit of escapism for me, because here's some personal info. I just got diagnosed with GAD, which is general anxiety disorder. So like my anxiety is kind of out the roof right now. Just recent, like COVID and all the things that in life and stuff that I've always had. So it was just a kind of a wake up call of like, how really important it is that I get out in the world in that way, because I've got that anxiety, but I've traveled the world, I've lived in many countries, and the things I've done, you wouldn't think, a lot of people don't think that I have anxiety. So actually the game can really help with that in terms of just visiting a place and just being like, oh, that's new, and I feel like I've done something outside of my apartment today almost sometimes as well. I mean, I go to work and I do things, but you know, just that feeling of feeling useful a little bit more, which, you know, we all might get at some point, way of shape or form. But yeah, so it's, I guess there's a few things, but I just try to play different games every day anyway. So but Guild Wars 2 is that, you know, old faithful, that kind of, it just brings back those good memories, right? And you're like, you know, if you see someone in chat, you know, or in the guild, and I check in on the guild sometimes, I might just walk in and check when the last time some people were online and see how many people are playing and see how many people are active, just because of that general interest, I think, as well. Okay, next thing. Where do you, if you're not playing the game then, because sometimes you might actually be engaging in Guild Wars 2 in different ways. Like, where do you engage in Guild Wars 2 outside of the game? And this might sound like an obvious question, but we all might do different things. What do you do outside of the game if you're not engaging with Guild Wars 2 and like just playing it? I mean, there's a big obvious one, which obviously we all do.
Is there what? Oh, yeah, what would that be, Jebro?
What would it be?
Enlighten us. Tell us.
Creating Tyrian recipes based around fish caught in the region of Frostgorge Sound.
I was going to say, two of us do have first-hand experience with that, but not the fish part.
I was going to say,
one of us here is a champion, actually, when it comes to, and has the belt to prove it. So, you know.
No, actually, I do not, because that never
Did it not?
Surprisingly, that company's
They
not
never
doing great
got me
with
the
it.
belt. They never got me the belt.
I mean,
They
what are you
never
gonna do?
got you the
Okay.
belt for that?
No.
There was a
So
belt?
you're gonna-
What?
was the
Now,
belt.
Tio,
Yeah,
though,
there was
you
supposed
need
to be a grand
You
champion
need to chase
belt.
those people
It's
on that.
been, that was like in September or something.
I know, you
It's
gotta.
fine.
No, it's not fine.
I
It's not
already
fine
have
at all.
limited space. What am I
Drag
gonna
them.
do?
Proof it's a belt.
Drag them.
It's like a wrestling belt. You could wear
I'm
that on
spilling the
stream
tea
and
right
stuff.
now.
You could be
If
like,
I go any further, too much tea shall be spilt,
You should-
and I want to clean
Okay,
that mess up.
fine.
all
Okay.
over their faces. You get what you did. This is what you do.
for the team in the face.
This is what you do. You pull a I'm stuck in an airport on Delta flight kind of situation. You
I need my
at,
medicine.
you at them on Twitter and be like, hey, where's
Yeah.
exactly?
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
way to never work
that's
with any
fine.
company ever again. Yeah.
A little anecdote.
for anybody who has no idea what we are talking about, we
We're
did
just
a-
like talking about some
know.
competition where Kroof and Rook fought to the death or something, and there was a belt involved. So it was like a wrestling match.
It was for the 10-year anniversary of Guild Wars 2. There was a special stream where Kroof, myself, and Emmy.exe all were guests on this cooking show and cooked recipes out. We just made recipes from Guild Wars 2. And Kroof absolutely killed it. Made spicy kind of noodles so good. I want that. I want that recipe. So
I'm gonna
please.
make it for you.
Thank you. Please do. But yeah, Kroof won. But we're finding out now that
I never got the belt.
never followed up
Okay.
with it.
Did you
You
get
know-
the subscription thing? Weren't you supposed to get something else?
I did get HelloFresh.
Okay.
That was the prize that I felt the most satisfied with. And then I got food poisoning.
I didn't know if you were gonna mention
From
that
Hello
part.
Fresh?
Oh no!
I don't know what it was from, but it was the last box. I had salmon, and it was not a
Oh
pleasant night.
man.
I will say this as somebody who avidly uses HelloFresh and advocates it even because
No, I still do. It was still
Like,
I just had
no, I
it was
will
a me
say-
thing.
you have to check the meat. You got to check it when it comes because it's like different actual food companies fulfill the food component. Like they
Yeah.
actually put the food into it. And like don't be afraid to report it too because they'll oftentimes refund you immediately or we've even seen in our time switches between different like food providers if like there's enough complaints. Because yeah, we had a while too where for ours almost every like 2 days into having the new box, all our food would go bad. And I was like,
Yeah, that is a possibility, but I think overall it was still a very pleasant food delivery service. But
this podcast is
what
not
were we talking
sponsored
about?
by HelloFresh. Just information, and HelloFresh. If you do want to sponsor the stream, then get over to us.
Yeah.
We will
This is
not
a great
be
idea, by the
sponsored.
way.
We will not be
This is
sponsored until Kroof gets their belt. Okay,
I think we should do this more often. We should, for companies that generally sponsor podcasts a lot, what we'll do is we'll insult them and like say how bad they are.
No, it wasn't an
then-
insult. It was a genuine, truthful experience where legitimately I cannot really pinpoint where it came from because I had a few
But it
things
was
that
probably
day.
HelloFresh.
But I'm just saying, I'd say 95% of my
sure
experience
that
was
was
really
HelloFresh.
great,
Just
except
watch this.
that one
think
night.
this-
But everything after was perfect.
gonna be
you know?
I think this is a great business
Honesty
idea.
is the best policy.
Yeah,
We come up with a story
promo
like this
code
for
give
every-
Kroof their belt.
We come up with a story like this for every sponsor that does podcasts, but then say at the end of the story, we say, however, if you sponsor us, we'll only have nice things to say about you.
We're unfortunately
have
not that
been-
huge.
I know. Like I've been a HelloFresh subscriber for years now, but you got to give honest opinions and reviews. Like we love it, but yeah, you got to check your reads, make sure they're all good, give them
That's your
feedback.
responsibility as a content creator as well. People will follow you're an influencer as well. Even I hate that flipping name. Like
talking
you
about?
influence people.
I know.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Guild Wars 2.
content creation.
So yes.
So you're saying that we
Oh.
can't extort?
No, Boots. End of
podcast-
conversation. Do you engage in Guild
Okay.
Wars 2 outside of the game itself specifically, and
okay.
how?
So, actually, I would say that I probably spend, I don't know, like, okay, if I play Guild Wars 2, for a day, like, I don't know, 3-4 hours, right? Or whatever it is. I probably spend the vast majority of my other hours that I am not like in the game being engaged in Guild Wars 2 outside of the game, whether that is the people that I have followed on Twitter that talk about the game, share about the game, artists that create art of the game. I am like almost always seeing that, liking that, adding stuff to my favorites or to my Pinterest, my many Pinterest boards that I have. So I engage a lot with that. Also on Discord, again, I'm probably talking to people that are talking about the game or that, have interest in the game, connecting with the community outside, sharing game news, doing podcasts like this. I probably spend most of my active waking hours engaged somehow across various platforms. This is just a personal thing. I watch some Guild Wars 2 YouTube videos, mostly all y'all's videos.
Right. Right. What was my last video? Rook, what was my last video?
Yours was a build video.
You haven't had one
It
for
was
2
was
weeks.
it Deadeye or something?
No, I just did the
I can't
last one.
remember
What was the last one? On the spot.
But no, I mean, I normally catch up on all of your
Sure you do. Yeah.
on
Okay.
all of your videos. And then I'll like watch those in cycles or in bursts or if something catches my eye or if I happen to see it somewhere. And then I'm trying to think of other ways in which I engage with Guild Wars 2 outside of Guild Wars 2.
I don't know. There could be a very specific thing that you're doing right now.
I
Oh, did you say? Oh, did
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Hi,
It's an
Brian.
umbrella term,
Hi, Brian.
Jebro.
talking on
What is an
podcast.
umbrella? Who knows? Truly.
I
Is it a company that releases a zombie virus into the world? No.
For all that we joke about print media or like reading things, as much as we joke about
Hey,
that,
careful.
I do think that I actually I read a lot of reviews. I don't know why. This is also something that I like to just watch on YouTube. I watch a lot of reviews of people trying or playing the game.
Yeah.
I guess because I like to hear people's opinions, where they think strengths or weaknesses are. It's a very specific type of person that I usually like to watch. Somebody who seems pretty even keeled, that has a wide array of experience within an MMO, that gave the game a really genuine shot. So I actually I go out of my way to try and find those types of things. And if as I'm like scrolling my phone on the news feed or something, there's an article about the game or about some feature of the game, I'll usually read that as well. And then I'm trying to think of other ways. Funnily enough, probably one of the biggest ones is soundtracks. I listen to the music.
Yes.
A lot, and I'll put that on. End of Dragon soundtrack I had on loop for a million years. Still, I'll just play
that one. That one was getting worn out. I said repeat loop. Let's go.
I've got that was in my Spotify like what rap thing. It was like there was like McLean was in there with like all these other bands and stuff, and I was like, wait, what? I listened to it that much? Like I'm in the top like 0.3% of Spotify listeners because of how much I listen to music, because I listen to music all the time, and like Guild Wars 2 is like right up there. That's like every single day. Like, and it's just chill background music. Absolutely, yeah. Didn't think about that. Good point.
Yeah. Probably my main ways, but yeah, I probably spend a good amount of my time outwardly connected to the game, and then go into the game, and do stuff and play stuff and spend time with people playing the game. But I think most of my just waking hours are somehow connecting with it in other ways.
How about
something?
All right, go on.
Something new for me over Christmas time. My roommate was like, "What do you want for Christmas present?" And I said, "I do not know. I don't like many things." But I remembered that I had not. A lot of things that happen. Just go with the flow.
Okay.
I remembered that I did not actually read the third novel, Sea of Sorrows. So what I've been doing is reading my way through the Sea of Sorrows book written by Rhys Osby. And I'm pretty sure, yeah. And it's actually been a really pivotal element to kind of revitalizing my interest, because there's a section within the chapter where these two magical users, a mesmer and an elementalist, are actually talking about the mechanics of how they create magic. And it's something that I've never seen before in Guild Wars 2, and they go into the lore and the magic system a little bit. And I'm like, wow, this is like the opportunity you have to really flesh out these elements of the world and world building that I'm really obsessed with. That's why I love expansions in the living world. So I've actually been very much surprised at how effective a book can be at keeping your interest with the game, or like kind of reigniting that interest to go back into the world and play it. And like now I want to go back and go to all of the zones that were mentioned, like talk about ore and all that stuff, and I'm like, oh, I want to go fight some Orion undead now.
Orion undead specifically. Orion undead.
Yes, very very different than just normal necromancer undead creatures. It's a difference, Jebro.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's why I said Orion undead. I was crediting you with such remarkable commentary. Crying Herald for next, or maybe no, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think we've seen recently how incredible supplementary media can be in keeping players feeling like they are connected to the world, immersed in the world, part of the world, even if they aren't in the game, have never played the game, right? I mean, like Arcane on Netflix, I've tried to get into League of Legends. I have several friends who love it for various reasons. Bebop even used to play it. My partner used to play it a lot. And I have tried, and I have bounced off of it. I just do not like playing MOBAs, as it turns out. But when Arcane came out, I was like, holy cow, do I love all of this. I love every single thing that's happening here. And I mean, you mentioned the supplementary novels. I totally agree. I think that having different ways to creatively engage or recontextualize lore, characters, stories, can have such a profound impact. Even if you get, little animated shorts, or like League does, they do all of the music videos, or I've seen, what game am I thinking of? Other games like will feature a character and do like a little backstory short about them or something. If you have TV shows like Dragon Age just came out with Absolution, if you have supplementary novels like the novels that we have for Guild Wars 2, or the art books or lore books or anything else, I actually do think that those things are probably some of the most direct, like, cycle me into the game things. Because if I am like reading about it, watching it, listening to the OST of it, if I'm consuming media of it, then that just makes me want to log in again. Even if I'm just hanging out, because I'm like, I want to be in that world, just like this experience that I had. And I think that's also why I role play, because that's probably a big portion too. Like, do I engage outside of and inside of the game with role play? Yeah, all the time. Like, I role play on Discord, or I will log into the game to role play. And so it kind of goes back.
I even do it outside. I swing a butter knife in the air like I'm fighting undead. I'm committed to the role play.
Yeah, so it's I think that can be a big thing. I'm glad you brought that up, Kurv.
Phoenix?
So when in the kind of initial period, I spent a lot of time role playing and setting up stories and setting up story arcs within the lore. It was but it was kind of all burgeoning because we were fresh out of the old world and into the new, and it was quite fun and exciting. So, and that's role playing and like extraneous media is how I kind of became a content creator in the end, because I was doing a role playing newspaper ages ago. And I guess now as a content creator, I'm still doing that kind of thing because I'm writing stories about the game and I'm coming up with theories. And I did a whole series of like all the very expensive mounts that they have, the one-off mounts that they do, not in a collection. I did like lore for all of them. So I wrote backstories for all of them so that they could be integrated into the lore of the game. And I did do portrait commissions for a while as well, for about a year, drawing people's characters, which was fun.
That's very awesome.
I like making stuff. I like making stuff. So.
Yeah, like Avatar is probably influenced a lot by Guild Wars too, I would suspect, and like maybe.
Which Avatar? Last Airbender?
No, I think Jeb means
Not Avatar. You're
Avatar.
thingamajig. Yeah.
The James Cameron Avatar series. I'm
Oh god, no, they're not underwater. They're not underwater.
Yes, I actually saw it in 3D and in IMAX. It was very nice. It was very pretty.
That was good. Oh, okay.
Narratively, it was low. But visually, it was very beautiful.
I mean, most of those movies are just the same thing over and over again. It's just like the cool. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Right, I need to recheck the question I asked. I forgot just then from my brain.
Where are we? What time is it? Can you smell toast? Yeah.
Yes.
How can you connect with Guild Wars 2 outside of the game?
So podcast for me, obviously. Twitter, YouTube, all the things. Like the soundtrack is a good point as well. I think, going to some of those events when you can and when we're safe to do so. For me, it's very much, I guess I was outside the game technically when I was commentating, but like maybe, but like Extra Life as well, like charity raising and stuff, technically not in game, I guess, but like just the people and talking about it. I think we all do it to a degree in our communities on Discord, when we're talking about the game, and we probably came together because of the game as well. So I think it feels like you're interacting with it in some way, shape or form when you talk to the people you met from the game, if that makes sense, because of the memories you form and everything else. But yeah, there's loads of little fun for Reddit if you really want to go there. Don't tend to do that with Guild Wars too. Yeah, I don't know. Boots, did you talk about it? Did you say some stuff?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I guess Reddit brings up the point of memes. Memes are a way many of us engage with games.
True.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I check Reddit. I like Guild Wars 2 Twitter. I like going to sleep. I sometimes, pretty often actually, go on Twitch and just like watch something on Twitch on my phone until I fall asleep and the phone hits me in the face. And a lot of the time it's Guild Wars 2 Twitch streamers that I watch.
Okay.
Yeah. And obviously podcasts. I go on several of them.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad. Okay, so I guess we kind of.
What do you do, Jebro? Oh wait, you just did it.
I kind of just did it.
I'm so used to you just like going on to the next topic without like
actually giving my opinion.
Like,
I know. I need to try and do that more. I think it's because I have a ramble sometimes, and I feel like I shouldn't talk for a long time. Okay.
Also, none of you can see this, but I'm currently standing because I just built my standing desk, and I wanted to just audibly bring you on that journey. You can't see me raise up.
Do you want to make like the noise that the standing desk makes when it raises?
Yeah, it was when it's raising up. It goes like. Oh!
Well, that was a sound journey. That was a sound journey.
Sounds like someone actually died.
I think the modem's kind of broken, but it's okay.
You're just suck it up and not get the belt, I guess. Get that damn belt. I'll get it for you.
Get the belt.
Get the belt. Okay, does engaging communities outside the game keep you engaged? I guess we kind of covered that a little bit. Yeah. We kind of covered that. We're gonna skip through that. Yeah, what is your go-to content in the game right now? We kind of did. Maybe we talked about in the daily kind of as well. We kind of covered that.
Yeah, we kind of just like.
Or what is your favorite? I mean, we've kind of. I guess we generally covered that. But like, if you are playing, what right now? I guess we haven't specifically. Like, we can talk generally, but like right now, if you do want to entertain yourself in the game, it is just PvP for me.
I'll go ahead and tell you right now.
Go on, tell me.
So I've been continuously saying that I'm goal-oriented a lot of the time when I do my go-to content.
You're goal-oriented?
Yeah, that's true. However...
That is true.
However, if I don't know what I want to do in the game at any given time and I just want to play in the game, my go-to content is beetle racing.
Yeah.
Really?
That's nice.
Really? Of course it is. He does all the racing all the time. He's the racing. He does that.
Beetle racing in doing all the races, trying to get better times. And then
you get beaten by the first person in the front of the boat.
Oh, you.
Next year.
The good news is we're only gonna be able to get back to that in like a year. Oh my god, it's a year.
I think I actually was still at the front. I think I was number one for a while. Like, I think for a bit.
Because of me. Yeah.
Well, technically because of my boat situation, sitting.
In your what's the right word for that?
Oh, so funny.
Not entitlement. Or your just being able to be at the front of the boat. What's the word for being at the front? Privilege.
Yeah. That makes sense.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love that though. Roller beetles racing. That's amazing. Mine is metas. I tend to almost always default to metas. I love running metas. I do them over and over. If I have nothing else to do, I do those. And usually very specific gear set acquisitions or things like that. I want to try and get the Lion's Arch teleport thing because I haven't still done all the collections for that, but I'm working my way through it. And like I said, I'm working on that one armor set from Path of Fire. And yeah, I do metas just otherwise as default. I just enjoy them. So I tend to just go through and I'll run whatever meta is going on or whatever I can see that seems to be going, and then I log in once a week for raids. So I really enjoy doing group instanced content, and that's something that like I like running with people. So we do whatever we can, whether it's like strikes or raids or we've got some spots in our groups if anybody's looking, but we just really. Yeah. So I will start pinging you, Boots.
Okay, please do.
Okay.
Honestly, I need people to raid with sometimes.
Yeah, no, we love it, and we just bring anybody. Like we'll introduce people to raiding. It's not like you have to feel like you can't come in if you're not an elitist or something. No, so I just like doing that. And that's usually my go-to. Yeah, you shouldn't come, Boots. Is what I mean to say.
Yeah, you were very, very elitist when I was not reaching my maximum burning damage because I didn't.
You were basically not wearing runes
or Balthazar runes. There were different runes. Okay, for an outdated build, I didn't update it, and you screamed at me.
Well, maybe you shouldn't come, Boots. No, I'm kidding.
Boots slyly said, "Kroof, what build are you running?" I said, "Pure DPS." He said,
Yeah, I was wondering if you were a quickness firebrand versus a DPS
said,
firebrand.
Interesting. I said, why? You said, I'm just out DPSing you.
Did you what kind of runs are you running?
I was running Renegade when I should have been running Balthazar, but
Well, I think the issue, the issue was that your burning duration was like at 40%.
Yeah, I did not. My burn duration could have been better. But speaking of raiding, I often connect with Rook in that manner. My go-to is usually group content. It ends up being meta events more often than not. It also is helpful that I have the World Boss Portal device, but I usually go on wanting to play strike missions or raids, but currently, we don't really have as much of a user-friendly system to input yourself into raids as we've had many conversations about. But I think it's great content. It's fantastic. It's fun. Even though I've played all of the bosses multiple times, they're oftentimes very engaging and exciting visually, sonically, gameplay-wise, and I still have a lot of fun with it.
Phonics?
I guess my go-to is, well, I mean, I get caught in the endless cycle of dying and fashion wars and dying my mounts and that's a bit of a brain tick that happens to me. I feel you. I really do feel you. We're okay. Yeah, it's like a TikTok. It's like a TikTok trance. But I guess I've just been waiting for more content. I've got to be real. I've not been engaged in the game as much as I usually would be with like a living world, because I'd already played through and experienced the season 1, so it wasn't as sort of earth-shattering and sort of game completing and story enlightening as it is for newer players or players who missed the first season. So I've been on what you could call a bit of a content break, a Guild Wars 2 break. I come in, I play a couple of times a week. I'll come in with my guildies, either my primary guild, which is the Crichton Herald Guild on EU, and we'll do guild missions and we'll do strike missions together and we'll do achievements, and anyone will like shout out to the guild and who wants to do this and who needs to do that, and we'll run around and we'll try and help each other for about 3 or 4 hours, and then it'll be me jumping into my World v World guild, which is Blub, which is part of the Gamer Asylum gamers. They're in alliance with them. They're a lovely bunch. I do their Halloween stuff with them every year, although I was super late with this Halloween video, so I probably got sacked. But fired out into the sun. But all the time. But no, I guess I like story, and I play for story, and I don't know whether it's the world being kind of upside down. I haven't just been able to kind of settle in, and I keep like planning to I'll jump into that Steam account and I'll play through from start to finish again, and really like try and get back into it and try and get back into that groove. But I don't know, the world seems to be conspiring against me with my time, but I don't know, it's not the lack of love of the game, I can tell you that much. It's just I guess it's a cyclic thing with me. I kind of all or nothing ADHD brain, and I'm on a low cycle. I'm on my minimum at the moment, so.
Okay, just like dipping your toe in to keep connected.
It's the friends and the community and the people. I mean,
the friends you meet along the way.
Yeah, I mean, the people I play D&D with are the friends I met in game. You know.
Yeah. It's so true. They're some of the best friends I have right now, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, including you all. Give me a hug, man.
I will say this, because I think like a lot of times, and I know I've kind of felt this myself recently in a couple games where like maybe I had groups I was running with regularly and things fell apart, or people can't do stuff, or people are busy, or stuff like that has happened. So like I myself have kind of felt a little adrift recently, which I think is maybe why I wanted to bring this up in connection to this. Because like I know there are a ton of people that I can ask to like do things with, but sometimes I don't always, I think, take the initiative, or I'm like, I'm not sure if I don't have like a group that's already kind of doing something, how to stay connected. So I felt a little adrift in a couple of my games and communities, trying to figure out like how to connect to it. And I think sometimes like communities can be a huge part of why you play a game, but they can also be a reason why maybe you don't. Or like, you know, like your group falls apart or this thing falls apart and it's kind of hard to, you know, just sit alone or hear about friends that are like, you know, oh, well, they're running with this other group. And you're like, oh, I wish they would ask me to come do something with them, you know. But I have found in the past that sometimes, something that can also bring me to log in is when I kind of push myself out of those cycles and I'm like, okay, Rook, now you're gonna look for a group. You're gonna like look for some random role play, or you're gonna look for an event. You're gonna go and you're gonna like brave Reddit or brave whatever, brave the forums or brave whatever it is for whatever game. Look at different Discords, because there are great Discords as well for like RP groups and stuff like that. And you're gonna go to a random event and you're gonna try to meet somebody new. So I guess all of this to say, like, because maybe too, I'm also kind of trying to hype myself up to do this recently, but like all of this to say, I think that even if you are somebody who right now, like as you hear us talk about how communities can bring us in, or like, you know, how you really want to stay connected to these groups, or you really want to support other players, like also a motivating factor for playing games can be meeting those people. And there's a lot of trial and tribulation with that. There's a lot of like, you know, if you have, you know, a lot of nerves about that, or like, Jeb, I feel you with the anxiety stuff, like, you know, and I'm really glad that you shared that today, because I know you've been taking your own journey with trying to, you know, even figure yourself out more and like what's going on with you, and like, you know, identifying that as you help other people navigate those same questions. Like there's a lot that goes into that I think we have to battle ourselves on, but I think sometimes too, for all that having a family and a community and people that we love in games can be big, finding that can also be a big motivating factor. And it takes some trial and error, and it takes putting yourself out there. But like I know for myself, especially with role play recently, I've been like, I really need to try and just like get out and stop waiting for other people to make me part of a new community in that. Like I need to bring people together that I know, and I need to look for new groups, and I need to set those new horizons. And that can be a reason for me to log in every day, because I'm just kind of putting myself out there. You know? Like I'm just giving it a shot.
That's true. You can really practice doing things in safer space where you feel safe in those spaces, and then putting that out into the world. That's why I use video games for like therapy. Like, you know, using Minecraft. I even use like games like War Thunder and other stuff where, you know, a kid or like a teenager or even an adult as well, like has this confidence in this game that they exude, and that they feel really good about themselves, whereas in the real world they just don't have this part of them which they've accessed in the real world, I'll say. But like and you can talk about that, and you can engage in a situation and be like, you know, I wonder what it would feel like to be this way outside, like being that confident and that like tactical, and like thinking about how you can react in different ways. Like it is amazing how you can really use that experience outside of games. I think we underestimate how gaming can just be so helpful. A little bit of a different side comment, but yeah, it is so you know, it's silly. I think there was like I was doing some research for something. I did a presentation for my old place I used to intern at, and it was about gaming, but also talking about different games and giving examples of jobs and how they apply to different jobs in the world. There was like this guy who was working with the Trading Post, and he was like a math like legend or something, but he was working with the Trading Post in like World of Warcraft, and how he linked it so much to how he used to think about trading and stuff like that on the Post, and how it got him interested in this field, and that how it's like some massive stockbroker or something. And you're just like, wow, okay, there's like these really big links between different job roles as well. So it's very interesting, and like the design, and there's so much that goes into it. Okay, Boots, did you talk about and thank you for what you just said as well, Rick. I appreciate you saying the things I said. Boots, did you get to say anything?
I think so.
Yeah? So you like here? Are you on the podcast still?
No,
I'm here.
I wasn't sure if you said a thing. Oh no, the go-to. You're talking about beer racing. I didn't say my thing. Okay, I'll do that, Criff. I forgot about that. I think it's still PvP. I don't know. I think I just run around just aimlessly, honestly, and just have a look at some of the rewards and stuff. I do like to kind of go into Lion's Arch, the old Lion's Arch every so often, and just run around. I don't know. I think it's still just PvP. But the thing I really love to do is just make a really random build and go into PvP ranked. I don't care anymore. I used to tell people, like, don't get to ranked PvP with a build you don't know now. I'm just like, fuck it, guys.
Wait a second, you said ranked. Oh,
yeah, no one cares. It does not matter. It really doesn't.
No, I just mean. Oh, okay, that's fair.
It
that's
just
fair,
doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't. No one cares.
At this
I
point,
just can't
stage
make
of the game.
I can't
The
do
ranked,
that.
the ranked process in Guild Wars 2 has no, like, it just doesn't have any relevance on how good you are at the game. It doesn't.
You're probably 100% right. I just don't think I could. I can't bring myself to do that.
It's still daunting because you might fail more often, but it's like if I know I go on that one build, I'm a face. I'm a feel happy.
The game,
I still need to like really get my build before going into rank with it.
That's fine.
Even if it is a weird one, I
can rotate well enough so that can carry, because rotations carry most games in the where I am anyway, which is like just high end gold. Plat 1, so it's just like it's more rotations that carry you than
and
knowledge.
I'm bad at rotations. You're much better at rotations than I am, at least. So that
I'm
probably
just generally
carries.
bad in my class, so then we should just be on the same team.
Look, we can all agree that we're bad at playing Guild Wars 2, all right?
As I've gotten older, it's gotten more difficult. Reaction times and whatnot. It's actually better now. I've got a big monitor because I can actually see things. I'm not even joking. Like animations and stuff, my eyesight is so bad.
I laughed. I genuinely laughed because my big problem recently has been, and part of it is because like my eyesight is just bad in general.
Yeah.
So like I have to have astigmatism contacts and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, you've got astigmatism as well. High five.
I do.
They don't realize that they're nowhere near each other while high fiving because they can't see.
Wait, what's happening?
So
you're right.
There's a bit of hell for you after that comment. That was good.
Wait, what happened?
Oh my gosh.
You'll just have to replay the VOD, get the views up.
Oh yeah, for my own views on my own video. I'm gonna go log in on some random device. Quick, watch an ad.
Not even Jebro watches his own.
I do. I have to watch my own because I have to do the chapters. It's painful because I'm like, are we even on topic right now? What is happening? I just go by the document now. I'm just like,
I just got boots.
I can't do it. Well, yeah. I mean, that was sometimes I would have put that in, but now I can't be bothered because it's way too much effort.
But yes, so I have been also on that struggle bus. Not only because of chronic pain stuff that is just fun when that starts happening, but most recently because for some reason we have a decently sized TV. It's not a tiny dinky little television, but if like games don't have subtitle sizing options, I am just a mess. So we've had to just do a lot of games, well, because I play a lot of games that are in other languages, I should say specifically. So the big one recently, and I would not advise anybody to get into this game, but we have set our own strict rules on how we engage with this game. Genshin Impact, Bebop and I have been playing through, and I had to just finally request, like, can you please put on the English voices, because I have migraines trying to read this tiny little dinky font that they have for their subtitles, and where they set them half the time against light backgrounds, so I can't even read what they would say even if I squint, because they're white text. Like, it's a whole thing. So no, Jeb, I feel ya. Those things it's not just sad old times, or maybe it's that we're all sad and old except for Kroof, who's young and vivacious and pure. So
yeah, and I just balls up your chaptering for a second, and you guys were talking about PvP and stuff, and that is like whoosh, right over my head. But I was thinking, would you welcome? This is like Daddy, I want a pony. Okay.
You just waited to pull that out for ages.
Would you? Whipping out my big horse. Would you?
And sword.
Oh my god. Where's this going?
Calm down, crew. It's okay. It's okay, everyone. Go on.
I think that the devs could make some sort of map, like a Fortnite map, or because they've got the building stuff. It's right there.
We had it. We had it.
We had it pre-launch.
No, but we also had it in the game. It's a mini game.
But it's like a mini game.
South Sun Cove. Yeah. It was a map
PvP.
thing. Yeah. I would love that. I actually would.
I think that
standard skills.
it's just so galling that it's such a good game. It's got such a fantastic mechanic system where you can build all these incredible stuff. And I would love to see like a Fortnite type like brawler for just mad balls off the wall kind of, craziness and just have some fun, that is not a swear word.
So wait, are you talking about having a like a Royal Rumble free for all, or are you talking about
like
building
the weird
like in
house
Fortnite?
Building, shooting, like brawling, well, not necessarily like Fortnite, which is just crazy.
No.
But like,
because with the
what
building,
about if you could throw down fortifications to just like cool. Throw down traps and fortifications and that kind of thing? Because that tech is in game, right?
Yeah.
Put that in World versus World, please.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be hugely fun.
That would be fun. I think that's a great idea. I think actually, we have the Obsidian Sanctum, right?
True.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's just like an open,
and it's a jumping puzzle. And it used to be there's a while back where people used to go there for the jumping puzzle. Used to do it every day. Nobody really goes there anymore. I think it needs to be revived. I think that map, they got to put some good rewards in that final chest for that jumping puzzle.
It used to be back in the day, right? Because it was one of those because that's how you got good gear, like jumping puzzles.
I think there was like something in there that you were supposed to get. There's like I forget what it is.
Oh, there is something for.
I forget now. Anyway, the point is you don't really get much from it nowadays.
It was so good though. People used to remember like beta and stuff when everyone would just go to the jump puzzle and people would be guarding those gates, like, and you'd be fighting so that people could run through it.
People built siege at the top of like one of the hardest parts of the jumping puzzle.
Yeah, absolutely. And like catapult people off and stuff. And like even and the ones on the Borderlands as well. Those ones were really fun to fight in. Oh, there's loads of stuff that just doesn't happen in the game anymore, which is a lot of fun.
I don't know. I just loved them to just like throw in, not mess up any of the World v World stuff necessarily, but like throw in a wild card map that people can go to where they just allow the different mounts, where they like just see how the mounts actually break the game. And then watch how they break the game, and then build a map where you can actually have players using these fantastic mounts. The best thing, that one of the most sort of like innovative, best executed features of the game, and World v World players don't get to experience it, which is it's just sad.
It would be fun if you had like flying, like the sky scales flying into bases and stuff, but there were like, fortifications which shot at them like automatically and stuff anyway, so you could like bomb things and stuff. I mean, that would be well good, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to hear all of this because I'm sorry. You know what? Actually, for next go, you go first, and then I'll follow up with my thought.
No, you knocked the thought out of my head. I'll go gather it back. You carry on.
Okay, I was just going to say it's interesting hearing a lot of this because thinking about it in the context of like what drives you to keep playing. And I hear us talking about certain types of modes where we're like, well, yeah, that seems to do what it does. Like, metas. There's a directed goal. It's a group endeavor. There are good rewards. All of those things are motivating factors. So like, does the content itself change? No, but there are good reasons to run it. Even like Kroof, like you were saying, I really love this observation. Some of the fights or the strikes or things, right? They're flashy, they're interesting, they have like a little narrative that you like, even if you've run it 100 times. There are interesting little fights or visuals or a cool world boss or, whatever it is. In PvE content, that seems to be something that keeps us running it, right? It's good. You get good rewards and all kinds of stuff from that. It's a good time investment. It's a big group thing, so you can all engage in it together. You get a sense of community, as we've pointed out, that being something, even if you don't know everybody that's in there. And, you get this like fun immersive experience. We talked a little bit about like variety of types of content, including stuff like roller beetle races or things like that. Or like Fornax and I are obsessed with gear acquisition, fashion, expanding our catalog of looks, of dyes, of those sorts of things so that you can customize yourself more in the world. Now, some of the things that just like listening to the PvP world versus world discussion has kind of made me think about is that it seems like for PvP to have a reason to keep playing that game mode, it seems as though a lot of the things that I'm hearing you all talk about is that there is a lack of sense of refreshment, new things, new challenges. Perhaps in PvP, part of it is not just the players, but also needing a sense in any good PvP mode of revitalization, new challenges, new ways to see how you match up, a sense of fun. Which I think between something like a competitive or ranked mode versus something like casual PvP has very different definitions. Like in a ranked, it probably comes from tight class balance, regular queues, good rewards per season to give you a reason to try to climb those ranks and to want to claim that title. A sense of prestige within the community, which can tie into rewards, right? Whereas like casual stuff, like you were all just talking about, it seems as though having a sense of fun, having a sense of I can hop in and goof around with my friends and we can try and, kill each other, or all this ridiculous stuff can happen and it can be, enjoyable or engaging. Feeling as though you have more options available to you as opposed to limitations. These are just kind of things that, like, as I think about specifically, like, not just us harping on the game mode or critiquing the game mode, but rather analyzing it from the viewpoint of perhaps right now, these are areas in which they are failing to retain the drive to keep playing that mode. Does that make sense? I kind of wanted to reframe it. I guess within that way that like we can hone in on each of these different game modes and talk about what does or doesn't keep us wanting to play them. And that's kind of my takeaway from just what we were all hearing just then about, rewards one, but particularly, and I think engaging a more continuous casual player base, you need kind of new stuff to catch interest. You need interesting or fun challenges, stuff that's easily understandable. But that does have like a sense of freshness to it, I guess.
Yeah, because I think essentially like that is important for a live service, for the model. Like that is it, right? That for the model, what it is, like it does need to have that occur. Because if it just doesn't, like people are just gonna run away. Like there'll be like that core amount of people who are just like and the money. Like that's it. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, go on for next. What were you gonna say?
I mean, that's what I was going to say. I mean, WoW tournaments and things, they have a ka-ching element to them, and it's base. I understand that, but yeah, make it profitable. If you want people and big like PvP players to get in there, you have to give them a financial incentive. It's a business. That side of it is a business as well, as I would imagine. Jeb, you know far better than I.
Sorry, I missed that. I was replying to chat. What did you say? I'm the best podcast host.
Awesome, perfect.
My brain, sorry. I can only focus on one thing at a time. I was just like, oh, wrestling, and then in the chat, and I was like, oh, brain. It was a tingle.
We're out here
Car.
gold, and Jebro's not even listening to us while on the podcast.
No, it was just the chat. It was just the chat for a second.
So sad
I'm
now.
sorry, don't be sad. What did you say? Just remind me.
What I was going to say is that you would probably have a much more full understanding of how the financial incentives work for big PvP streamers coming in. I mean, I kind of like, wafer thin, bubble thin my knowledge on this topic. Money equals people's interest is where I'm at. I mean,
yeah, they tried to pull. there was so many conversations about what rewards could be done. About this is so long ago. I don't think NDA matters. Hopefully, and this was kind of public anyway at the time. To be honest, it just people don't really talk about it that much because there wasn't really anyone. Yeah, because they're all gone. So,
famous last words. I don't think NDA really matters.
No. It was like fairly public, but they had lots of discussions about how they could throw different kinds of rewards and how community could help build rewards for the people who are like involved. And it did feel really like active in terms of what they could have done. But in the end, they just went with prize money. So it was like. But that is enough to incentivize people to try to compete in it, or you would have hoped so. But there really wasn't ever a lot of teams that were good. Like, the scene was very... I mean, there were very awesome players, individuals, but like getting people together on a team wasn't always good, and they would just all come together because they just wanted to get the money. Like I had a massive blow up when I started my own community, like my own PvP tournament, which actually raised money for like players. Like, I think we gave over 10 grand away to players in the end because of how much we raised. But like, it just turned into this thing where people were just obsessed about the money. And it was like, that was for me, that was not the core of why I wanted people to focus on. It was like creating teams. Like that was a bonus thing. And then instead it created this very toxic part of it, which was just obsessed with like getting that extra 2 or 3 grand from like first to second place because, money. And it was just the greed of it and stuff. But like, in other games where there is such a big community and there are a lot of teams and there is a lot of focus around that kind of stuff, there's just so many people that you have to have a lot of teams competing, like, because not everyone can be on the same team. So it works definitely better in a very more alive scene where there's a lot more people. Guild Wars 2 did have a lot of people playing it. It's just they're not great at it. It's just too complicated. It's just too complicated. Arena WoW is easy. Like it's when I say easy, I mean the goal is easy. Kill the enemy team. Hi. That's it. Like you don't have to go around conquest. You don't have to capture points. And sure, that is like very, very fun, and it's a very unique way of having people compete against each other, but it is very niche and it's that conquest mode, and it's tough for people to understand. And with Guild Wars 2, it becomes very intricate, and people gatekeep that, very, very much so. And a lot of people go in there and they don't feel like they can compete. They don't feel like they can do anything. And actually, people probably play the most mode. I would guarantee you that more people probably play the 2v2 and the 3v3 deathmatch seasons than they do the conquest. Because you can get quick pops, quick games, and it's just fun. But like in terms of the money, I don't know. I think it's good for other games and stuff. But for Guild Wars 2, it's just not suitable. There's some elements of it which can bring toxicity and stuff which don't feel great. It was fun at the time though. It was a really fun scene, and for the people that were not assholes, but there was a real side of that a lot of people didn't see, and treatment of people, including myself, that wasn't okay, and that was mostly by community people. So it wasn't ArenaNet. They had the backs of people like me and some other commentators, but players not so much, which was very unfortunate.
Now, forgive me, I'm just kind of like trying to brainstorm. No, it's fascinating. It's not a kind of area that I've ever kind of dived into. It's never held my interest, and I think it's always more interesting to listen to someone talk about something they're really passionate about and they have a lot of deep knowledge about. Even if it's not something that you're like deeply interested in, you can get drawn in by that person's passion and understanding, and I think you did a fantastic job. I'm a problem solver, which I drive my husband incredibly nuts with that. He tells me something, I'm trying to 7 ways to fix it. And I'm just trying to think of problem solve how we can get more eyes on the game, how we can improve both PvE, World v World, and just enrich these game types and bring more interest and more content and more playability to them. in this. I think it's safe to say that although there's like fantastic content come out, we're in a little bit of a sort of a lull at the moment in terms of what's happening in the game, and it's just trying to storm and think about how we can bring eyes. And I think that's what Hardstuck is trying to do. They're trying to build player driven tournaments, and they're trying to like build a community around that, which is very positive, really. So the community is trying to like rally together.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to
think games just need to be more
so
fun.
sorry.
It just needs to have a fun element.
Yeah.
It's just
I think
it's been stagnant, and communities can conjure up tournaments and have their own qualifications and have their own boundaries, which make it really interesting. But in terms of the average player, I don't know, I feel like you got to have a little bit more variety, because even if you're just starting, it might be fun for a bit, but you really begin to see that, like, oh, there could be more here, and maybe there should at some point if they ever decide to allocate resources into those areas. But
yeah, it's a difficult one. I think, yeah. It might be. It's a different podcast and different conversation, I think, which we definitely could have. And that kind of goes into the lull of it. That question I kind of had as well, which is like, I do want to kind of start to wind things down slowly but surely. And maybe this will be the last of it. And this is something I think, Rook and like Kroof and others were talking about when I asked if there was anything they felt might be missing. But if there is a kind of a lull, what does pull you back into the game? And almost it goes into that question of, anything and again, I think this is Kroof who said this specifically, anything that puts you off just staying out of the game for a bit, and it makes it difficult for you to just engage with it at all at that period of time, I guess, which is, not something, not in a respectful way, of course, which is how we always talk about the game. But like, for me, I can give an example for this. I definitely get put off the game when I'm in a PvP game and there's a lot of toxicity, and it just really pisses me off. And I'm just because that's why I came up with my one game rule. Like I limit myself to playing that mode because I don't want to be in that toxic place. I don't want to experience that. So I'll just eject myself from it, and that's the way I can look after myself in a way where I don't get pissed off and return chats and stuff like that. So that's one thing that keeps me away for sure. The thing that pulls me back in is probably my competitive part of me, where I'm like, I feel confident a little bit in that, and also I just want to create some content or a build or something, it's the builds themselves which really make me interested in the craft of it. It's not even playing that build really, it's just the theory part, I think, which I enjoy. So yeah.
For me, pulling me back in when there's a lull is definitely either I somehow convince one of my friends to play it again after a long time, and I'm like, oh yes, I get to play with them, or it's an idea. It's an idea that I have for a build, an idea I have for like, oh, maybe I'll go do this thing for fun. That's what pulls me back in. Just an idea of something new for me to do. And the thing that turns me away sometimes is usually it's burnout from something. Like if I've been playing too much for a very long time, or if I did the fishing to 80, for example, I didn't want to fish again for a good amount of time after that. So it's burnout usually. That's why like I said many times, I like Guild Wars 2, because it's harder to get burnout if you're playing it the right way, in my opinion. If you're playing it at your leisure, when you want to play it, when you want to have fun, rather than burning yourself out over it.
Yeah. As for me, what pulls me back in after a lull, I think if it's not new fashion, like something new came to Black Lion, it's probably something like friends, wanted to do something, or there's a specific RP event, or we're gonna do, something like that. Otherwise, though, a lot of times it is just taking stock of my own goals. I guess kind of like Bootsy were saying, setting some kind of new goal. I will take stock of things like, oh, it has been a little bit, and like what's coming up? What am I thinking about? If we still have several months before we're going to be getting new content, because obviously new content, new story, new anything always brings me back to the game no matter what. But if we're still in that in-between time, a lot of times it just takes taking stock. What was something I wanted to work on that I didn't do? What was something that do I have an alt character that I haven't even gotten through the story yet? Do I have, other things, this gear set I wanted to work towards? Did I want to try and unlock this? Did I want to do this achievement? Did I want to? So sometimes I'll just have a little check-in with myself where I go, what were the things that you wanted to do? And then I'll think of one and I'll go, okay, well, let's do that. And then I'll actually get back into the game to do it. And I end up having a ton of fun. And, I never just don't play the game. Like, I'm always in touch with the game somehow, but whether or not I'm putting a lot of extra hours in and a ton of stuff on any given week sort of depends on, I think, how I've taken stock of what there is still available to me and how I've engaged with it. Anything that puts me off of playing is probably anything that I just start feeling is too samey, that just drags on for a long period of time. I think what makes the big difference for me is narrative design, in a sense. Metas, I don't get tired of them because I like the design. I like the supporting story. I like the moments. I like the bosses. I like the big group effort. But, if it comes to just logging in to do 50 loops of one map to get whatever amount of things from a node, or if it's something like that just ends up being an incredibly samey grind, I tend to just get turned off. If in my head I'm like, well, I do want the thing at the end of this, but it means that I'm just gonna have to do this one thing that I don't really love. It doesn't draw me in cinematically. It doesn't draw me in narratively. It's just kind of a checklist.
Do you think that changes? I mean, I think that's a good thing to mention as well, actually. Do you think that changes as you get older? Do you think that's something where you're like, I know where I want to spend my time now and I don't want the shiny thing necessarily? Or do you think that's maybe how we are now? It's just... I know this is a really, really broader question, but it makes me think about that. It's like, I used to love doing that stuff. I don't now. And as I've got older, I know that where I want to spend my time more, maybe because of working and school and stuff, because you have less time. I guess, I don't know. Yeah. Just a thought, I guess. I don't know.
I think it's a mix, right? I think it's two things. It's one, I guess getting older, having more responsibilities, having other things you're doing, having work, having partners, having whatever it is that you have, even just having sometimes, right? Because you got to take care of them, or if you need to walk your dog, or having like any number of things in your life that makes it so that your spare hours are more precious in a sense.
Absolutely.
I think that definitely recontextualizes it. I also think, though, that sometimes we don't even always know, regardless of age, what value we want to prescribe to our spare hours, right? Until we start even exploring other things, I think when I first really, really, really started going hard on either of these MMOs, I don't know, just a handful of years ago even, and maybe this is part of getting older, but it was one of those things where I love games and I love gaming and obviously do content creation, so a lot of my life is around that. But at the time, I hadn't even really explored what other things there were. Were there activities I wanted to do? Did I want to take a walk every day for my mental and physical health? Did I want to look into, local clubs, local community centers, culture centers, things like that? And it wasn't until I really started empowering myself to explore some of those other things that I started realizing, like, well, maybe my day isn't just work games. Maybe my day is also work, games, cook, walk, go to events, take free class, and when I started to take more stock of the things that were available to me, whether at home or outside of my home, I started realizing like, oh, there's a lot that I like and I want to do. And that variety also helps me keep from even burning out in games that I love, because while I might be playing less hours, I'm not just driving myself into the ground with them, right? And I'm taking better care of my mental and physical health. So there's that component. And then I also think that another part of this is just novelty of newness. Whenever I jump into a new game, I think I am much more inclined, because I'm just excited to be in the new game, to just do all the mundane dumb stuff they ask of me.
Yeah, because you never, yeah,
you know, I'm like, whatever. I just started. I'm really excited, and other things are keeping me along, and I've got all this other stuff ahead. So why not detour and do all this other stuff? So I think it's a mix. It's a mix of like age and experience, years playing like games in general. I also think that it's, again, even keeping an eye on how you're balancing your own life, commitments, enrichment, like, you know, whatever it is that enriches your life. And then I think some of it too is like how new you are into a game. That's my personal thought on that. But
okay, good points.
I feel like that's like, it's like you're Marie Kondoing your gaming experience. If it doesn't spark joy, don't do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just remembered who that was. So I remember that stretch. Is that the person with the clothing where, like, you know, they pick it up and like, does this give you joy? And like,
it's a Japanese lady who wrote a book that was very, very successful.
You can get people in America. I don't know if there's anyone in the UK that does that, but you can employ people to come around to your house to help you do that. And they do that exact thing. And I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. Yeah. Don't ever come to my house.
They don't go to houses. They only go to condos.
Wait, they only go to condos?
Okay, everybody, that's it for me today.
You are fired.
I just got it.
Time for me to go. I'm disconnecting.
No, don't, because it'll mess up my thing.
I was gonna say 2 more points, then I'll shut up. I promise.
No, shut up. So
Marie Kondoing. Okay, yep, I think that's a great idea, and I personally do that. And I mean, stuff that's brought me back is like, for example, that whole quest line that WP talked about with the vampires. I completely missed that. So I'll dive back into that. If I've missed little lore nuggets and little Easter eggs in the game, and I find it in the community and people are talking about it and they're all excited, and I've just like bulldozed my way through the map and missed it completely, I'll head back in. So that's the kind of thing that draws me back in. But I think some of the problem for us is that we're content creators. So we have decided to make the thing that we love doing in our spare time our job. And I think that can have kind of a detrimental effect. Yeah, it's like...
Not me either anymore now. Like, honestly, like, this isn't my main income anymore. But like, it's not like...
I see that sentiment though. That I understand that. But
we've taken it to another level.
Yeah. Where we don't mean that shitty English boy band from the 90s.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yes, I do as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I agree with you when it comes to content creators in general. I feel like I shouldn't be really called a content creator just because I do it
just
more as a hobby. Just because you
content create, yeah.
No, I mean, it's like, I do it for fun. So I only do it when it's fun for me.
It should be for fun, though. I would say that if I flipping out, most people do it for fun anyway. I mean, I know we do it for other reasons, and we can talk about the psychological stuff like another day. But like, I would class
the class guides I do are not fun. They are not fun. I love you guys and I'll do it for you, but they are not.
You don't like it enough.
No, I mean, it's real work.
But
like,
you enjoy
the entire script, like narrating, editing. It's a lot.
I mean, I know. Yeah, I've been doing it. Like, I definitely do that part. But like, you still doing it. Like, the outcome is something that you want to do generally for the enjoyment of it. Like, you don't pick being a content creator for the wage, do you? I mean, that's for sure.
That's a whole nother podcast.
That's another podcast, yeah. We should do that. We should probably do that.
We should, because there is a lot to be said about what sells versus what you enjoy doing. Just straight up.
Yeah.
And that's a choice that every content creator has to face. And I mean, you're totally right, Fornax. Like, there are some pieces of content that, like, you might know, hey, well, if I make this, I'm going to get way more views, or I'm going to get way more engagement, or if I play into this thing, there's much more of a chance that I would grow more, or things like that. But
true.
It's always about balancing it. It's always about balancing it and what you actually find real joy in. And I mean, the same also goes even when you're live. Like, you might want to broadcast something that you yourself would enjoy, but no one wants to watch it for some reason. Whether that's like, you know. So yeah, it's a whole nother conversation. But anyway,
it is true. But you're right. You're dead on. Dead on.
Yep. Some of the videos you spend the most amount of time on have the least amount of views.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, when Thingy came onto Steam, I did these tidbit videos, and I was like, people know this stuff already, but I was like, maybe new players, and I was like, oh, some of them not hit 1K, and then there was like, oh, I'll just do this video for, you know, I'll do it on Twitch as a highlight for like 5 minutes, and I'll tell everyone about the new Decadent armor or whatever. 20k views later, and you're like, oh no, I spent literal weeks on this one video for 1k views, and then you're like 20k views for like some piece of crap thing where you're just like, here's some news about the game, and it's like, damn it.
Just shows you gotta put as little effort as possible into everything you do.
Wow. The opposite is true as well. It's just sometimes it's picking your moment, you know. It's sometimes it's about that. Okay, we're gonna wind it down. Did we all respond? I can't remember. Griff, did you?
I'll make it quick. So the thing that has really been grinding my gears and making me piss my panties, and I really dislike it. And
when you've not got your camera on, you're just like, you just go off on one. I'm loving it. Okay.
I've been going for so long. I have some energy to release.
Yeah,
but
just like
a lot of water, but I've not quit over this yet. But I love
saucy
PvE.
New episode title. Quits Guild Wars 2. It's gonna get all the views. Yes.
Now it's 2023, new year, new me, new game. But I really dislike. Okay, I love strike missions and I love raids. However, every time that I want to do it and there's no listing, I compel myself to be the squad leader. And it is the most infuriating thing trying to form up people, not just getting people to come on, but then to figure out the party compositions and figure out who's doing what and what is what and where people are where and like if they know where to go. It is the most infuriating sequence, which is so antithetical to the original idea of Guild Wars 2, where it's like, you don't need to wait for anyone. You can just adapt and go in on the fly. And it's like, you're not really ever in a raid. You're in two separate parties that just so happen to be operating in the same boss. And I find it so weird. And it is just very grating to the point where I sometimes will go weeks of not doing any strike missions because I just don't want to go through the process. But
it's almost the PTSD of like raid forming.
And like everyone it's just a deluge. Here's maybe some chat etiquette. If you go into a squad, don't immediately spam what you do. Because it's just like a deluge.
Okay.
But in the same breath, what might bring me back whenever there are strike missions, whenever there's a strike mission or a new story mission, I love the strikes. I love PvE content. So while it is oftentimes a headache to get there, it's always very enjoyable. And I'm always interested to see what they have cooking up. So that's my pet peeve of the new year.
I thought what drives you away is your computer breaking and not being able to use it.
That's definitely one of the factors. But another thing that drives me away is usually a Tesla, but like I Uber it. So like, you know.
Can I just say that Tesla commentary aside, going back to the actual meat of your topic, I am so glad you said that. I am so glad you said that because
thank you.
Well, I mean, the thing is that made me think about this whole conversation totally differently, because if I was doing this for almost any other game that had an actual LFG queue on my list of what are the things you do when you log in, what are the things you do, what makes you play every day, what do you play every day, I would literally be saying, like, if Guild Wars 2 had that system, I'd be like, I queue for fractals. I go in and I random queue for raids, or I queue in and I just do all of my strike missions. it is not as though right now I cannot go and use the LFG tool. The thing is, though, that just like you said, well, a lot of times, I mean, I'll just be real. Let's all be real with each other. A lot of times as gamers, but also as people who might have varying levels of energy, as people who might have varying levels of anxiety, depression, mental health struggles, existing struggles, even outside of mental health. Even if you're just tired, you work 10 hours that day, you know? There are many days where the make or break for me is I don't feel like I can be responsible enough to make an LFG, or these LFGs, I just don't know how I feel about like trying to jump into one, or there's no listings. Well, I guess I won't do it. Whereas if there was some kind of tool that was removed, that was just I take that burden off of you. You want right now, you want to do a fractal? Cool. Queue in for fractals. I would queue all the time for them. I would just queue for them. But like as it is, if I'm on stream and I don't have a group that I already set up and I'm streaming at a time that's in the middle of the day, so I can't get a group, and I don't want to hassle with trying to put together a group, or I don't truly, I'll be real, always understand all the complexities of what kind of composition we might need to do whatever thing, I'm like, I just don't do it. And if even in my own spare time, if I'm just playing by myself and I don't want to have to coordinate a big group, I just want to queue in to do something, I would engage with that content 9 times out of 10 if I were just able to queue into it and not have to be the one that takes responsibility for that, or that then has to try and like fumble around in somebody else's group, or, you know, there's nobody up or nobody's doing it or nobody. So yeah.
I couldn't agree more. So much friction involved with it. And it's such a crapshoot, isn't it? It's such a Russian roulette of what type of group you're going to get, who these people are. It's, I couldn't agree with you more. Please have a automated matching system like all the other games.
Very difficult, but it'd be nice.
It's funny. It's funny. Well, again, that's going to be a podcast. I think we're going to have the LFG podcast. I know we talked about
We've
it.
had 5 LFG podcasts.
We have, true. Maybe we won't do that. We'll just keep talking about it.
That was just my pet peeve of
but it is right
for today.
But like Ruby was saying as well, and it is part of the access as well. And when I say access, like, because you're right, like it is that kind of thing of like, I want to just do a thing really easily, and also there's all this other stuff that's going on where I just want to make this experience a little bit easier for me because of like
I want to play a game without feeling like I have to open up spreadsheets.
Yeah, absolutely. And think about that. Okay, we're gonna kind of end it there unless anyone wanted to add a point, because I realized that dinner and stuff is ready for people, and also
I'm so hungry.
I think it's been a good one. Next week
At time.
Maybe next week we could go in game and just kind of, I'd like to do like play gameplay, I think, next week maybe, and we'll think about it. If anyone has any suggestions or what you would like us to play through, let us know. There's been a part of
Adventures.
We did adventures, didn't we?
Do it again. And a Q&A session at the same time.
I'll just do the same thing. We're gonna do something different. We'll probably do fractals. But maybe we'll talk about it. Or we'll do something. We can't do World v World because, unfortunately, unless we can all get onto like a really crap server. I mean, I don't know, with no population. Sorry, crap servers.
Well, you can always just go to one of the linked servers.
True. We could do that. But it might be a little bit difficult to. Anyway, we want to stop and talk about the things as well, which is the whole point of the podcast. We'll just be sitting there, or just making faces, going, kill that guy, and then that's it. Yeah, it would be a bit awkward. Otherwise, we will be back next week. I will work out what the title of that show will be. Yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good week. Outro. Kroof, what do you do? Where do you do it? Where can people find you when you're back to making the things?
Yes, once everything is resurrected, I need a necromancer to come over here and play around with my computer. But hi everyone, I'm Kroof. You can find me over on YouTube at Kroof, doing a bunch of Guild Wars 2 content, maybe also some more generalized MMO content or some other things. And I'm also here on Twitch, streaming whenever I can do that next. And yeah, I had a really beautiful time. It was lovely coming back. Debut into 2023. So great.
Oh yeah, this is your first content of 2023, isn't it? That's not YouTube.
It literally is my first stream, my first podcast. Will be my first video on your channel. Starting off strong. Not
and
even
Spotify.
on my channel, neglected.
And Spotify. And only other places where you can leave reviews. Please leave positive reviews. There's someone who likes going around just putting a thumbs down on all the stuff I do ever, but there is that person who always does it. I don't know, bastard. Give us do the thumbs up thing. Subscribe. Do all the things, everyone. For everyone. Here, go and check out their content, please. Subscribe to them, follow them, comment, do all the things. Thank you, Kroof. We're glad to have you back. We missed your face. Presence.
And you still are.
Yes. We saw it briefly. Next week, hopefully, a little bit more. A chin, maybe. An elbow, something like that. Boots, what do you do when you do it? Hello.
Hi, I'm Boots. You can find me at World Avengers on YouTube and Twitter. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, my friend. Welcome back again. Excellent. Crichton Herald, or mostly Fornax.
Mostly
50%
50% Fornax today.
50%.
Only 50%. I can't say the F-bomb, so it's only 50% here. No F-bombs. I'm Phonax, the Crichton Herald. I make content over on YouTube. I've got over 300 videos about Guild Wars 2 and the lore and guides, which I hated making, so please go and show them some love. And I'm almost up to 30k subscribers.
Oh,
which
wow.
is lovely.
Congrats. That's huge. Whoa,
yeah, that's
nice
not
one.
Really teeny weeny tiddly, but I'm super happy about it. It's wonderful. So
good job.
Yeah,
congrats.
go subscribe. Yay. Okay, that's it.
How close are you?
So 29,800 and
we could everyone go and watch this. Who's not subscribed to Crichton Herald? You probably already are. Just go subscribe to them right now. Get them over that. Okay. Almost.
Hump. Yes. My humps. Okay, sorry, I'm stopping now. It's nearly midnight.
Okay. Rookery. Things doing them where?
Yes, hello. You can usually find me 2 to 3 days a week over on Twitch, twitch.tv Rookery, spelled Rookuri. If I'm not live on my own channel, I'm probably talking on one of 2 podcasts, this one being one of them here on Fridays, but also Aetheryte Radio with Gamer Escape on Saturdays for Final Fantasy XIV. I also try to release at least one YouTube video a week, depending on what I can do, what my editor can do, all that kind of stuff. And while we have had a lot of Final Fantasy XIV content and playthroughs and all that good stuff, we do still have plenty of Guild Wars 2 content ahead. So if you pop on over, we're always happy to see you there too, because that's been growing and it's been exciting. And I've been toying a little bit, Jeb. I might follow up with you, but I've been toying a little bit as well with adding maybe a once a week YouTube stream into the mix or something, just seeing how that goes. So keep an eye out.
Yeah, definitely. Do it. It's a fun. I mean, it's just I was gonna say it's to engage with the people who are in that community, but it ends up being the same people in my Twitch community anyway, and it's just smaller viewership. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'll do that. But also, yeah, and I'll tell you about that. What I'm doing. Yeah, it's fun. It's different. It's different layout. The quality can be a little bit better as well. It's just there's some more fun settings on YouTube as well. So. Thank you as well, Rookery, for coming on, as per usual. Everyone, thank you very much. I will plug myself very, very quickly and the stream and the Lightbringers. Lightbringers is probably the main content I do reliably every single week. There will be in a couple of weeks we won't have a show because I'm getting my tattoo finished, which is in a long time in the making, which I need to get done. But there will be a show next week. Other than that, please go and follow everyone here in the description, and there will be links to the game if they've got that as well. Twitch.tv/Jebro Unity is mostly Lightbringers on Friday, Saturday, about 2 p.m. Pacific, doing a stream of just whatever I feel, honestly, nowadays. And on a Sunday, we just had a poll for the timing of a stream on YouTube. People check out my content very early on a Sunday, so it's going to be 10 a.m. Pacific, which I'm thinking about, which is going to be fun, which is early for me, honestly. So come and check that out every week, and that might be some Guild Wars too. I was going to get back into commentating the ATs, so if there's any ATs for Guild Wars 2, maybe some New World, ESO, whatever, come and check us out on Sundays at 10 a.m. Pacific as well. Otherwise, please do the reviews. Check out the podcast on all the other things and share it with your friends. I'd massively appreciate it. We just hit over recently 53,000 listens on Anchor, which is very cool, which is the audio version. And we're on Apple Music, Google, all the things. So make sure you go and like the podcast, review it if you can, subscribe as well. And thank you everyone who watches live every week on twitch.tv/JebroUni as well, 1 p.m.-ish Pacific. And we will see you next time, which will be next week on the 20th at 1 p.m. hopefully Pacific. We'll see you next time. That's been episode 38 of the Lightbringers podcast. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.